Sorry. I'll start again. I do apologise. Thank you, members. It is with great sadness that I need to inform you all that a member of our staff has sadly passed away suddenly on 30th of June. Robert Scattergood. Robin was one of 2 customer service team managers in the call centre. He joined the team in October 2018 on a temporary contract as a customer service assistant. Although Robin had experience of customer service, he came from the retail industry and had no experience of call centres. For this reason, he thought he would only stay in this job for a few months before moving back to retail. In fact, as everybody was extremely impressed with Robin's skills and performance, he was offered a permanent contract as a customer service officer, and then the opportunity arose just over a year later. Robin successfully applied for the team manager role, a role that he always performed with dedication and passion. Robin was a very fair and caring manager, a knowledgeable, supportive colleague, and one of the kindest people you could ever meet. Robin was, for many people in his team, not just a colleague, but a real friend, and he will be sorely missed by everyone. All his colleagues and friends will remember him for his supportive spirit, kindness, cheerful enjoyment of life, his passion for Liverpool Football Club, good food, good rum, but most of all for his love for his wife Maria, with whom he was planning to retire to Cyprus, where they got married 7 years ago. The council and Robin's call centre family have been deeply saddened by this news, and we would like to send our sincere condolences to Robin's family and friends at this very difficult time. Please can I ask members to join me in remembering Robin in a minute's silence. Thank you, members. Now please welcome the Mayor's Deputy Chaplain, Reverend Ali Williams, who will be saying prayers this evening.
Let's just take a moment. However we come here, however we understand God, let's commit ourselves to each other and to the unity of this meeting. So God, we do thank you for the gift of government, for leadership, for collaboration, for partnerships, and for strong values. We pray that you would direct the business of this meeting, that we would remain firm to our values and represent the people that we've come from and the good of all people in our places. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Thank you. Please be seated. Oh, dear. Yeah, very good. She's lovely. I would like to welcome members, those in the public gallery and those watching on the live stream. I will now hand over to Rachel, the Head of Constitutional Services, to go through some housekeeping points.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, can all those present please ensure that all mobile phones are set to silent? In the event of evacuation, please exit through the doors at both ends of the chamber, following council staff to the assembly point in Charles Swift Square in front of the multi-storey car park. As per normal rules, if you wish to speak, please ensure you raise your hand and you'll be invited to address the meeting. The Mayor has confirmed she is happy for members to stand or remain seated, whichever is the most comfortable when addressing the chamber. All votes will be taken via an electronic voting system. If a recorded vote is requested, this will be taken in the normal way. There is the usual points document. If you wish to raise a point, please raise the pink document and address the Mayor accordingly, stating which point you are raising. Finally, I would like to remind members that this meeting is being live streamed, so please make sure that when you speak, you are using your microphone. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Members, before we begin, can we remind members to be respectful to all members in the chamber this evening? Thank you. Agenda item 1, apologies for absence. I will now ask the monitoring officer to give any apologies for absence that have already been received.
Thank you. We've received apologies from Councillor Zamir Ali, Councillor Ayres, Councillor Day, Councillor Knight, Councillor Rush, Councillor Sabir and Councillor Wiggin. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I now ask if any members present are aware of any other apologies for absence not read out by the monitoring officer? Thank you. Item agenda 2, declarations of interest. Are there any declarations of interest from members this evening which are not already recorded separately on their individual register of interests? Thank you. Agenda item 3, minutes of the meeting held on 18th of June 2025. Before I propose the minutes of the meeting held on the 18th of June 2025, I would like to advise that Democratic Services were made aware that the recorded vote list required amending as both councillors Anne and Asif Shahid had not been included. The team have made the amendment and the public minutes have been republished. I would therefore like to propose the approval of the minutes as amended of the meeting held on 18th of June 2025. Councillor Dennis Jones, I understand that you are happy to second?
I am indeed, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. If there are no objections, I will take the minutes as agreed. Councillor Hogg.
Yes, Madam Mayor, sorry for the interruption. I'm just not entirely clear that the minutes reflect the fact that certain answers that were unable to be answered at the meeting, where there was a provision that Cabinet members would come back in writing with answers, it doesn't properly reflect that. So I've already asked for the change to be made, but it was too soon to have it with the published thing. So I just wanted to make sure that it is the case. Yeah. If that's okay.
Noted. Thank you. Agenda item 4, Mayor's announcements.
Subject to that at the minutes agreed.
Sorry?
Can you just check at the minutes agreed, subject to council?
Oh, sorry. Sorry, I do apologise that I got interrupted. Our minutes agreed by everybody. Thank you. Agenda item 4, Mayor's announcements. I'm pleased to report that my first charity event on 10th of July raised a brilliant £802. Thank you to everyone who supported the event. Another couple of events to note. There are still places left for the golf day on 1st of August at Alton Firs Golf Club. If you wish to enter or know someone that might, please let Sue know via mayor@peterborough.gov.uk. Also on the 17th of September, the Charities Committee are organising a gin tasting evening. And on the 22nd of September, we have the traditional opening of Bridge Fair and supper. And finally, on the 27th of September, I'm holding a Caribbean evening. Further details on these events will be sent out shortly. I hope that you will be able to support my charity events, which are raising funds for 2 very special charities. Thank you, members. I will now move on to leaders' announcements. Agenda item 5, leaders' announcements. Councillor Dennis Jones, I understand you wish to make an announcement this evening. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and I'd like to begin this evening by paying tribute to much-loved member of staff, Robin Scattergood. As we've already heard this evening, Robin was a talented and well-liked member of our customer access team, and his passing is a big loss to our council. I would like to offer my condolences and those of the entire council to his family and friends. Last week we had another 2-day visit from Ofsted which focused on how we improve our offer for children in care. I'm pleased to report that the inspection went well and feedback highlighted that progress is being made to improve services and to support good outcomes for children and young people. We know we've got a lot to do and before we're judged as good. Thank you to all our staff in children's services for their continued hard work and dedication as part of our plan for improvement, to ensure all our young people are supported to achieve the best outcomes. I'd also like to urge people to support a fundraising campaign launched by one of our much-loved attractions, Flag Fen, following an arson attack at the site. Whilst Flag Fen remains open as usual and its summer activities are unaffected by the fire, the team has launched an emergency appeal to replace the roundhouse as soon as possible. Support from local businesses may be able to help with timber, materials, thatch, scaffolding and labour is needed, along with volunteers to help support the build, and of course financial support to get the project underway. Around £50,000 will be needed. Many children and adults have happy memories of a trip to Flag Fen. If people can manage a donation, no matter the amount, it could help to continue the magic for future generations. Moving on, congratulations in order to some of our services which have been shortlisted for national awards. First of all, our highways team, which has been shortlisted for Highway Partnership accolade in this year's National Highway Awards, which are held in September. Well done also to our Democratic and Constitutional Services team, the guys and gals who support meetings such as this, for being shortlisted for Team of the Year in the Association of Democratic Services Officers Award. Part of the reason for the shortlisting was their sterling support to the council through 3 changes in administration in 18 months. Thank goodness there wasn't another one. This involves a huge amount of work, including changes to proportionality and training new cabinet members and committees. In addition, the council has been shortlisted for Democracy Project of the Year at the same awards for our work to review scrutiny arrangements. A shout out too for council officers include now from our Rough Sleeper, communities and property teams who have been praised by Homes England for the delivery of the SHAP programme, which has delivered 22 homes in the past year for rough sleepers who have the most complex needs. Alongside the additional funding we received to deliver this accommodation, we also receive extra money to enable the rough sleepers residing in the accommodation to have access to high levels of support. The more we can do to keep these people off the streets, central part for the 23rd consecutive year. This is testament to the hard work and dedication of the teams at Aragon who have maintained these much loved spaces to such high standards. And I'd also like to thank the volunteer groups who support these parks. They promote the use and care of the facilities from the communities seeking funding and park improvements, provide valuable feedback to the council and in turn Aragon. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Group leaders, I have granted you all 2 minutes to respond. Firstly, I invite Councillor Chris Harper, Group Leader for Peterborough First.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and hopefully we'll manage to get this in within the 2 minutes. We join the leader in offering our sincere condolences to all of Robin's family, his friends and his colleagues. It's good to hear the positive news regarding the Ofsted inspection, and we offer our thanks too to all those working so very hard to ensure our young people are supported and cared for. If I could just add that it is every councillor's responsibility to be a corporate parent, and I urge everyone to get involved in ensuring the best outcomes for our children in care. The arson attack at Flag Fen is truly shocking, and whilst we of course urge everyone to support the fundraising campaign, unfortunately we also know that when caught, those responsible will no doubt get away with some punitive punishment rather than a punishment that fits the crime. And we urge the courts to ensure justice is done to discourage such acts of mindless vandalism in the future. Well done and thank you to the Highways team, Democratic and Constitutional Services, and the officers mentioned by the leader, and we hope your efforts are properly recognised with the accolades you richly deserve. It's also great to hear that our 3 parks have retained their green flag status, and we too thank Aragon and those that volunteer their time to maintain them to such a high standard for the enjoyment of our city's residents. Peterborough First urges Council to remember how important open space is for the physical and mental health of the people of our city, and to ensure that they take this into account seriously when considering planning applications going forward. Madam Mayor, with regards to the local government reorganisation, which we are talking about later, we have the perfect opportunity to maximise the benefits to Peterborough based on deprivation, skilled employment, training and education, and our culture. And we at Peterborough First have always held the view that an ideal option would be to merger with Huntingdon and St Neots along the A1 corridor. This would give us access to the Cambridge Silicon Valley, pharmaceutical industries, and uplift growth and skills for our city and increase wages. The Greater Peterborough A1 corridor option, also suggested by our city MPs.
Councillor Harper, could you sum up, please?
Yes, certainly.
Thank
Also recognises how attractive the A1 corridor option would be, and we urge everyone to back this option and call on the Government Minister when it comes to the time for making the decision to see it that way too. We must not miss this golden opportunity. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Yes.
I now invite Councillor Wayne Fitzgerald, Group Leader for the Conservatives.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm sure, like everyone in the Chamber tonight, we'll pass on our condolences and best wishes and thoughts to the family of Robin Scattergood from all the Conservative group. I won't dwell in much detail, because everybody else will, about all the great things we've heard tonight, about what's going on in the city. Everybody is to be congratulated, and indeed we would condemn also the attack on Flag Fen. But I would also, in return, challenge the leader to deal with some of the things that are actually important to the public. Safety in our city centre, getting the beggars off the streets, cutting the grass, cleaning up our city, making it a place where people feel welcome. Because if you look at many of the online surveys and video reports, and there's quite a lot of them, there's the latest one I saw, and I don't personally blame Dennis, it's just that he's in charge. And, you know, when you're in charge, you have to make things happen. So those are the things that people talk to me about and that you see online, there's frustration. It's great that we're able to come here and say all the good things that are happening that the Council is doing. But there's also a lot of room for improvement as well. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I now invite Councillor Christian Hall, Group Leader for the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, indeed. Sad news from Fagplen. Some senseless destruction of the roundhouse. Jackie Mooney and the team are determined to build back a bigger and better replacement from the appeal money. So please do go and visit this hidden gem over the summer period if you can. Take friends and family with you. They deserve our support. I would also like to bid farewell to Ian Spence, Peter Limited's Operations Director, who is left for warmer climate in Abu Dhabi. His presence will be sorely missed by the team. I'd also like to thank San Hickman and the team at Vivacity for the work they pulled it out the bag, putting in opening the Bretton Water Park, which, despite media various recent media opinions, was delivered on time under a very tight schedule to achieve the works necessary to do so. Good to see our PCC teams being involved for national awards. Well done to all those involved. It's good to see that the Green Flag Awards continuing despite having been under threat a number of years ago due to budget cuts. We managed to pull that one out the bag. But, you know, the the Conservative Group Leader has just talked about the things that are not happening in our city centre. Well, they were cut under his administration. Let's not forget that. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, I invite Councillor Heather Skibstead, Group Leader for the Greens.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The Green Group would like to start by sending condolences to the family of Robin Scattergood and thank him for his services to the Council. I sincerely hope that people will get behind the fundraising initiative to help Flag Fen after the arson attack, as this is such an important cultural site for our area and a shame that it should be the site of vandalism. Hopefully this will be publicised widely so that people can donate to preserve this heritage site. It is great that the Highways team and Democratic Service team are being recognised for their hard work in the shortlistings. As councillors, we are all aware of how much we are supported by these teams in the daily work we do. The recent challenge to the current administration was, for those of us involved, something we work for and firmly believe could be a benefit to the residents of this city. This is, after all, what we are elected to do, and we thank the team for supporting us in this challenge. Another shout out goes to the recycling education team, who are spearheading a campaign to recycle school uniforms in the city at Queensgate on the 1st of August, something we know can be very costly to many families at this time. I'm sure this will prove successful. Lastly, it is great to see the 3 parks mentioned preserve their green flag status. As Greens, we are always glad to see green spaces prioritised across the city. I would also like to see how other parks could be given more attention going forward to also be able to reach this standard. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll go on to agenda item 6, questions from members of the public. There has been one question submitted by a member of the public to this meeting. Alderman Sanford, please can you read out your question in relation to the local government reorganisation? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Peterborough City Council has existed since 1874, and in that 150-year period, 138 people have held the office of Mayor of Peterborough. Now the council is faced with the prospect of local government reorganisation and may become part of a much larger council, taking in various parts of Cambridgeshire. Peterborough is one of the fastest growing cities in the country. It is the largest conurbation in Cambridgeshire by far, and has a travel to work area which includes parts of Cambridgeshire but also parts of Rutland, South Lincolnshire and East Northamptonshire. As a recent former mayor of Peterborough, I'm very proud of Peterborough and its reputation as a place where people from many diverse backgrounds and cultures live and work together in harmony, as well as it being a place with a strong commitment to environmental causes, tackling climate change and creation of a green economy. I'm concerned that we may lose some or all of our unique identity if we become part of some larger amorphous Northern Cambridgeshire Council, which may be based in March, Huntingdon or Alconbury. So is the leader concerned that if we're not careful, he could be the last leader of Peterborough City Council, and you, Madam Mayor, could be the last of the 138 mayors of Peterborough? Therefore, would the leader agree to work to ensure that if Peterborough has to link up with other areas, it should be as part of a new Greater Peterborough Council, which recognises the economic geography of the area and has our great city of Peterborough firmly at its heart?
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones, please can you respond to Alderman Sanford's question? You have 3 minutes.
My pleasure, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your question, Nick. In answer to your questions, we approach the 2028 local government reorganisation. It's entirely understandable that residents and stakeholders may feel apprehensive about what this means for Peterborough's identity. After all, as you refer to in your question, our city has a proud history dating back to 1874, a vibrant cultural tapestry, a fine industrial heritage and a unique geographic footprint that extends well beyond traditional boundaries. Peterborough, as you say, is already the largest city in Cambridgeshire and the economic anchor of the region, making us not just a local hub, but a regional one as well. Let me reassure you, please, Peterborough will not lose its identity. In fact, this transition offers an opportunity to strengthen it. Any new unitary arrangement must reflect this reality. That's why proposals under consideration acknowledge Peterborough's leading role with options that place our city at the heart of a new governance structure. Culturally, Peterborough is thriving, from almost losing our Christmas lights last year to holding, as I understand, the most successful exhibition in the museum's history, with more to follow. A literacy festival is planned in November, along with a fringe festival next March. But I digress. Nevertheless, these initiatives are not just surviving, they are thriving. The organisation will not affect parish councils, as you're aware, meaning grassroots engagement will continue uninterrupted. Financially, the move to a larger unitary authority is designed to simplify services, reduce duplication, and improve sustainability. Peterborough's medium-term financial strategy already outlines a path towards resilience with a focus on value for money, smarter use of assets and investment in frontline services. By pooling resources across a wider area, we can unlock efficiencies while still protecting what makes Peterborough unique. In short, Peterborough will remain Peterborough, a city of ambition, diversity and leadership. The reorganisation is not an erasure, it's a recalibration. And with the right vision, we can ensure that our city not only keeps its identity, but becomes the driving force behind a more sustainable and inclusive future for the entire region. Whilst I'm unlikely to be the last leader of Peterborough City Council, I'm entirely confident that our current mayor will not be the last, and will hopefully be another 138 to follow Madam Mayor in the years to come in the city we are both proud to call home. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Alderman Sanford, do you have a supplementary question? If so, you have 1 minute to do so.
Yes, thank you. I'm very grateful to the leader for his response in a very positive way to the question. I do accept the arguments that to get economic benefits we need to be part of a larger council, but is he aware that any new council is likely to be about half of the population is likely to come from Peterborough? Peterborough's got a large number of areas of social deprivation, and I think I saw a statistic that said that 25% of the population doesn't have access to a private car. So would he agree that this new council that we're going to create to serve all of those people needs to have Peterborough at its heart and needs to have its headquarters here in Peterborough?
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones, would you like to respond to the supplementary question? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I absolutely agree that we have to look at our urban deprivation, certainly as probably the second or third fastest growing city, whichever metrics that you're using. I'm working closely with both our MPs, Andrew Pegs and Sam Carlin, to ensure that that we not only secure it, we enhance Peterborough's identity. Where the location will be has yet to be decided by reorganisation, but make no mistake, we'll be making sure that Peterborough is very much in the forefront of everything that we do. Thank you.
Thank you. I will now move on to item 7, petitions. Item 7A, petitions presented by members of the public. Members, a petition has been received by the Council which contains more than 500 valid signatures from people who live, work or study in the city. Therefore, the right to a debate of the petition by a meeting of full Council has been triggered. The petition for debate is titled Reinstate School Crossing Patrols, and there will be a 30-minute time limit on the debate, at which point we will move straight to the vote. As Ms Nairi Ambachian cannot be here this evening, Ms Kerry Deboo will present the petition. Therefore, I would like to invite Ms Kerry Deboo to present the petition. You have 5 minutes.
Good evening, councillors. Thank you for your opportunity to speak with you today. I come as a voice for children, parents, teachers and concerned members of the local communities at Eye, Fletton, Newick Hill and Warrington Primary School. I'm here to ask plainly and urgently that you reconsider the decision to withdraw funding for school crossing patrols at these primary schools. This is not just about traffic. This is not just about budgets. This is about the safety of our children and the message that this council is sending to families across Peterborough. Let me begin with the obvious. Primary school children are among the most vulnerable road users. According to the Department for Transport, more than 800 child pedestrians are killed or seriously injured on British roads each year. The majority of those incidents occur during school run hours, between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. Children aged 5 to 11 are particularly vulnerable. Their peripheral vision is still developing, they struggle to judge speed and distance, and they are easily distracted. Even with road safety education, the simple truth is this: they need an adult presence to cross safely. The roads around Fletton, Newark Hill and Warrington are busy. In many cases, children need to cross at complex junctions, near parked cars, or during peak times when visibility and driver attention are both compromised, all of which I've personally experienced with my own young children. Without a crossing patroller, you are asking families to accept an increased risk every single day, twice a day, for 190 days a year. The absence of crossing patrollers has already led to concerns, near misses, and you can see from the level of support through the petition that the communities are anxious about this. We are moving backwards, away from sustainable travel, away from community trust, and most concerningly, away from our duty to protect children. Secondly, the cost of these patrols is modest, the value enormous. In your own corporate strategy, you say we are taking steps towards becoming a child-friendly city, which puts children at the heart of everything we do. We understand that budgets are tight, but the presence of crossing patrollers provides peace of mind, consistency, and a layer of community care that can't be measured in pounds. Crossing patrollers are often pillars of their neighbourhoods. This is certainly the case in Warrington. They know the children, they build relationships, and they are part of the protective web that surrounds childhood. When a crossing patrol is present, drivers slow down. Their very presence changes behaviour. In making this decision, we're not satisfied that the Council's assessment of school crossing patrol sites is robust or accurate enough of pedestrians and cars at key times. Taking this away is not just a financial decision, it is a social and moral one. And third, it sends the wrong message. As a council, you have committed to improving public health, promoting active travel and supporting communities. Cutting this funding undermines the government's cycling and walking investment strategy, and it tells parents, if you want your child to be safe, keep them in the car, drive them, contribute to the very congestion and pollution we're trying to reduce. If even one child is hurt because this protection was removed, we will all look back and ask, was this worth it? Was that cost saving worth the risk? With the removal of the crossing patrollers, it does highlight the need for additional road safety measures in these communities, such as speed bumps, correct road signs, or pelican crossing measures that would benefit all of the community. In closing, we ask that you have a chance to rethink, to listen to the voices of the communities affected, to protect what matters most, not just physically, but also symbolically. Let Peterborough be a city that chooses safety over savings, that chooses community over convenience, that chooses children. Please reconsider this decision, restore the funding, and let's keep our children safe together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Deboo. Members have 30 minutes to debate this item. Are there any speakers? Excuse me. John Fox. It was John first. Sorry. John Fox. Councillor John Fox.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. A child's life is worth far more than a budget cut. Removing school crossing patrols isn't just a cost-saving measure, it's a calculated risk for children's safety. We should never accept a system where a young life is lost before we admit our mistakes. These patrols are not optional, they're essential. Crossing the road to school should not be a life or death decision. Parents deserve to send their children to school knowing they'll get there and back safely. Every week, 63 children in the UK are killed or injured on our roads. Removing patrols without putting strong safety measures in place puts children at unacceptable risk. We all must remember these are not numbers, they are lives and families' futures. This council have a duty to act before tragedy strikes. What we don't need is thoughts and prayers after an accident. We need prevention now. The data is clear. Children are being injured and killed every week on our roads. Therefore, I fully support this petition and urge that the decision to cut school crossing patrols to be urgently reviewed. The matter must go back to the responsible officers to take clear and precise measures to ensure these areas are as safe as possible, especially Church Street in Warrington, which is a locally known high-risk location. Officers must carry out thorough safety assessments and implement effective solutions immediately. If patrols cannot be reinstated, then equally strong protections must be guaranteed. The safety of our children cannot and should not be compromised. Therefore, I would like to recommend that this Council ask the responsible officers to take the action requested and investigate the requests in this petition. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. The next speaker, call on Councillor Stevenson, please.
Sorry, Councillor Hillier.
Sorry. Who's got now? Councillor Hillier. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The price of everything and the value of nothing is the situation we are in here. We know the price of school crossing patrols, but do we really know their value? They are an essential part of providing children with the first steps in independent travel. Most of our primary schools encourage children from year 5 or 6 to start making the journey to school unaccompanied in preparation for the transition to secondary school. Cycling proficiency and road safety training are part of this process for children. For parents of 10 and 11-year-olds, this is a big leap of faith, and knowing that the school crossing patrol person is there to guide and support the most dangerous part of the journey provides a great deal of reassurance. I don't think the importance of this can be overstated. I have talked to parents in my ward who make the school run daily, see the dangers on that road crossing, and assure me they will never feel secure enough that their child will be safe to cross without significant changes or the restoration of a crossing patrol. I myself decided not to send my child to their catchment area primary school because the journey was not safe and did not have a crossing patrol I felt it needed, so I completely understand these concerns. It is part of our vision as a city council to encourage children to walk or cycle to school for their health, education and social development. This cut to services is at direct odds with this vision and jeopardises the safety of our children. This is yet another example of the frontline services our residents see and value disappearing before their eyes, leaving some to question what they're paying their council tax for. It is for this reason I fully support this petition and ask councillors to do likewise. We should look at reinstating crossing patrols, and if that can't be achieved, we need to look at much stronger safety measures than we currently have to avoid a loss of faith from residents in us as a council. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speaker is Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Child safety is something I am committed to ensuring across this city. As a Dogsthorpe Ward councillor, the cuts to lollipop people is a pressing issue and one I take seriously. Last year, along with my fellow ward councillor, using our CLF to extend this lollipop provision for 1 more year. I know that this council is facing a financial challenge and thank the organisers of this petition for bringing it for us to reconsider. Reckless driving along Eastfield Road is an issue that many residents have contacted me about, especially recently following a serious incident at the I Road Eastfield Road junction, which was caused by dangerous and reckless driving. I welcome a 20-mile-an-hour speed limit, as well as any other mitigating factors that could be put in place quickly to protect primary children going to Newark Hill Primary School.
Thank you. Next speaker is Councillor Howard.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I do remember this budget proposal coming forward, and I remember it being very delicately and softly dealt with at the time, and it was dealt with an assurance from officers that before any crossing patrol was cut, there'd be a full audit of each school area and any safety measures that were required would be implemented where needed. I hear what's happened in Eye, and I'm not convinced that end of the bargain has happened. And obviously here tonight I can't speak on behalf of other schools whether it's happened or not. I think for that reason I would like to see it go to Cabinet or scrutiny, because I think as politicians we need to put the challenge into this. We were assured of a process that would happen. We need to make sure that full process and audit of each school has actually taken place, and any mitigations have been put in place before the crossing patrol removed, and if not, that needs to be rectified quickly. And it also gives the chance to look at the wider argument of the petition itself. But for that reason, I'll be happy to see it go to Cabinet or to scrutiny, so we can really make sure we've got this right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, please, Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I has just been mentioned by Councillor Howard, and just to flush that out a bit, we as councillors, as ward councillors, all three of us, across party lines, put together our CLF to maintain the services of a crossing patrol lady until the end of term, which obviously is now. And then on the promise that a temporary zebra crossing will be put in place ongoing. And indeed, when this was first put forward to us as councillors, the assurance was that any crossing patrol lady that was taken away would be replaced by mechanical management of that situation. I'd like to congratulate a lady called Katie Berry, should I say, who indeed did the petition in Eye and was successful in getting an outcome. When I was a kid, we didn't have crossing patrol ladies. I know it's a very long time ago. The fact is, we got our independence by going to school without that. However, traffic has since exploded exponentially, and there are needs now of traffic patrol persons at very dangerous roads. For instance, Warrington has been mentioned, and indeed Eastfield Road has been mentioned, but Eye is a major problem. The road is not fit for purpose, and it's always under pressure with traffic. I would urge us to take this forward to Cabinet, or indeed take it to the Scrutiny Committee. Otherwise we'll be a council that knows the value of nothing but the cost of everything. Thank you, Mrs Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor John Fox, have you got a point of order?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Support point of explanation. I think I'm allowed to do that. The comment was made about the CLF. We also offered to put our CLF towards the lollipop lady, and it never happened. So we offered that same thing, but it didn't happen.
Yes, I remember. Thank you. Right, thank you. Next one is Councillor Newman Ali Iqbal, please.
Through you, Madam Mayor. As an East Ward councillor, keeping children and parents safe when crossing the road is a priority for me. I understand why this proposal is being considered and welcome the opportunity for officers to look again. It is imperative that mitigating solutions are put in place to keep children safe. I would welcome a 20-mile-per-hour limit along this road.
Thank you. Next one, Councillor Ellis.
Thank you, Mrs Mayor, and thank you for the petition. I totally understand the concerns raised. Safety of children is of utmost importance, and the decision we have taken to end school crossing patrols has not been made lightly. However, the decision was taken by full council in 2024 for the 2024-25 budget to make one of many difficult savings decisions to save £39,000. It might not sound a lot, but add all the smaller savings together to a total to reduce a large budget deficit. There are around 72 school sites, of which until May only 5 had school crossing patrols. When making the decision, we did full assessments. In fact, the decision only got implemented after many months. And these full assessments at the original 5 sites, the first criteria was being that there is a crossing nearby the school site. In that sense, Topmoor Way in Paston was taken out of consideration because there is no formal crossing nearby and it would not be feasible to install one at that site. Road safety training is being delivered at all schools, and we have especially reached out to the schools affected by the change to the crossing patrols. At I Primary School, we have already agreed and settled a petition from residents there and the ward councillors. There is a planned zebra crossing outside of the school as part of a new development. However, we have agreed to install a temporary zebra crossing until the developer funds for the permanent crossing are in place. So a temporary crossing to be in place by September school term start, after the crossing patrol was kindly extended by ward councillors led to the end of this term. This is in addition to narrowed road traffic calming already there. At Newark Hill School, there are 2 crossings nearby, east and west. We have consulted with ward councillors at their request, and as well as additional road safety interventions at the school, we can look at other ideas. I heard the idea of a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit. We can certainly look into that. Church Street, Warrington, there's a zebra crossing with the latest type of Belisha beacons, school warning signs on both Church Street and Amberley Slope, and we are looking at any other mitigations suggested by ward councillors, maybe a 20-mile-per-hour zone again, and I do take on board they were looking at, you know, putting CLF money towards extending to the end of term as well. And Old Fletton Primary School has a signalised pedestrian crossing nearby and a 20-mile-per-hour sign zone. So in essence, working with ward councillors at all of 4 sites, we can look at mitigations to make the changes as safe as possible. I would very much be happy for a report to be done on ideas of mitigations, and then if to be referred to either scrutiny or cabinet. Believe me, it is hard making decisions
Excuse
like
me,
these.
Councillor Ellis, could you sum up, please?
But we do have to keep budget decisions made by council. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Hogg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, school crossing patrols, it's not the only way of getting children to school safely. But ultimately, the things that we have to look at instead of school crossing patrols cost a lot of money. Just been told about the I school, where there's going to be a temporary crossing, and I know that traffic management is not cheap. In fact, I would be willing to bet that the traffic management the temporary crossing that's going to go in is going to cost more than the wages of a school crossing patrol. I feel that we're bent on making sure that this decision is carried. I absolutely thank the petition people for coming and kind of giving us a shake, giving us a head wobble to say, look, what the hell are you doing? This isn't good enough. These are our children. They are getting a scarcer resource. We're not having as many children as we used to, so let's look after the ones we've got, please. So I absolutely think that we need to look at this very, very carefully. That the moment you take a school crossing patrol out of a school, you are effectively making every child's journey to that school harder and less safe. And unless you're willing to put in mitigating circumstances such as more traffic calming or putting in pedestrian crossings, etc., all at horrendous cost. The moment anybody starts doing anything with the word civil in front of engineering, you can put a few extra zeros on what you think it would cost. So I absolutely think that the school crossing patrols give very good value for money. And it's not just about letting them go across the road in a safe way. There is a community value here, a community value that doesn't appear on any spreadsheet. So from my point of view, I think we need to rein back on this. I think we need to put a halt on it. We need to make sure that those crossing patrols we have are protected going forward. And I also think we need to have a review on those ones that have already been withdrawn and make sure that actually, is it as safe as it was before? And if it's not, let's reinstate them.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councillor Suresti.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's a very, very interesting and very, very difficult debate. It's really how much do we value our children as opposed to can we afford it? And there should never be a cost to valuing our children. I've got 2 young ones myself, and if there is one thing that worries me all of the time, it's are they going to get to school safely and are they going to get to home safely? They have to cross 3 roads, one of the major roads in this city to get to school. Now, I wasn't here when we had the debate, unfortunately, for whatever reason, but we cannot put a value on our children, and I'm now being selfish. I would like to see this go back to committee, either scrutiny or back to cabinet, just to have another proper look at it. And if we're going to be very mercenary about this, we've got a policy in this council to get to net zero by 2030. We stretched it to 2035, but I'm not quite sure what's happened with that. If I believe that my children are at risk, I'm going to put them in the car and I'm going to take them to school. I'm not going to let them walk to school or get on a bike. I'm going to put them in a vehicle or put them on a bus or whatever. And all of that is going to cost us all a lot more money. And that's one of the main reasons I would like this looking at again and giving it a second perusal, just to see that to be sure that we are making the right decision. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Next speaker is Councillor Skipstead.
Hello. Yes. Thanks, Madam. Thank you, Madam Mayor. As Greens, we are firmly committed to promoting active travel, and these crossings provide a measure of support to allow children to walk or cycle. I see the crossing near where I live in Fletton High Street, which is a very busy area, morning and afternoon, where the lollipop lady is at full capacity, keeping families safe in a friendly way. She's a well-known figure, or she was when she was working there, had a cheerful word, creating a good environment for all those going to school. It's essential we continue to promote this. It's a small cost and worth so much in terms of safety. As Greens, we support this petition fully and would like this to be taken and reinvestigated to find a solution to reinstate these crossing patrols. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Councillor Ali.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. So one of my pet peeves is sometimes the amount of debate we have on numbers that are not very big relative to almost no debate on decisions that affect us to the tune of tens and hundreds of millions. And Councillor Ellis just mentioned that this was discussed. It was discussed in the 2024-25 budget decisions, and we made a saving. So I was just thinking, how much saving could we have possibly made from cutting 4 or 5 lollipop ladies or crossing patrols? And if you look at 190 school days where somebody is employed maybe 4 hours, it might be 6, might be 8, and you're paying them £20 an hour, which you're probably not, and there's probably 4 of them, you're talking about £60,000 per year. And that's the kind of numbers that get lost in the rounding when you look at the amount of money that we're overspending or underspending or trying to save. And we genuinely have, we've recently signed up on a long-term care package of £500 million. We've committed to £500 million of spendings in public health, or in the process of, and we're dealing with something that's £60,000 a year. And when you're talking about, and when you add in the added factor of child safety, you just think to yourself, why are we, 60 members of the council sat here discussing something which isn't even going to move the dial on our finances? It's almost a no-brainer to just send it back to cabinet and get them to try and bring it through FSWG if they sincerely think this is a saving that's going to move the dial. Last year we were in a deficit of 5.1 million. 4.9 million. We were eating into our general fund every single year to the tune of millions. What are we arguing about £60,000 for, in exchange for child safety? So I absolutely would recommend this goes back to cabinet scrutiny. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker.
We're not finding any ways to improve our service and deliver the best service for the residents. And most importantly, it meets all 4 of the corporate priorities. So therefore, there's no reason for them not to look into it and find a solution. Thank you.
Thank you. Next bit, Councillor Elsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I wasn't really going to speak because everybody's already eloquently put across what I was going to say. However, I had to listen to Councillor Ellis's diatribe about how we need to push this decision through, and frankly, it's nonsense. He suggests that it's fully consulted and there's a full justification for what the proposal is, because we need to make these savings. Yet, on the other hand, he's happy to listen to ideas from ward councillors like 20-mile-per-hour speed limits. Well, if it's fully consulted and there's a full justification, surely all of these opportunities to make our roads safer should have been considered before the decision was made. And he also goes on to say that he's working with all of the ward councillors, yet most of the ward councillors affected have put their hand up and spoken quite eloquently about their support for this petition. So I fail to see how any of that makes any sense. So on that basis, I don't think the decision is a sound one. I believe that for all of the reasons that have already been eloquently put, we should be putting this back to at least cabinet, if not scrutiny, and I'm fully supportive of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers at all? Oh. Councillor Bisbee.
Thank you. We have put children first, and we need to put children first. And as somebody who's been in the emergency services, I've dealt with accidents of children outside schools, and I'm sure there's others here that have dealt with it. The impact through the community, through the families of all sides and schools is devastating, and the cost is devastating as well. And I just wonder if we make this decision not to reinstate these crossing patrols, and we hear later down the line that a child has been injured or fatally injured, how would this council feel, and feel that they've done their duty the way they should do?
Thank you. Councillor Harper.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I think everything really has been said, but it was just interesting that the Cabinet member mentioned 20-mile-an-hour speed zones. Experience of myself, and I'm sure other people have had it, usually means that includes speed bumps or chicanes, not just 20-mile-an-hour signs. And that costs many, many thousands of pounds. Certainly, I would think an investment for 4 or 5 areas being well in excess of the 60,000 that's being pushed around as the cost of this. So it looks to me like it's going to be massively more expensive if you're going to go down that route. All right, I'm talking costs again, and I appreciate that we have to, have a balanced budget, and we have to come to decisions, not always nice decisions, but at the end of the day, and I'll be blunt, what price are we going to put on a child being injured or killed? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, members. Debate's finished. Mr. Boo, you have a right to reply to the debate and have 3 minutes to do so. Thank you.
Thank you for your debate, councillors. We'd like to raise that the cost of this is 39,000, half of what you're talking about. Okay, we're talking about nothing. We'd like to raise that we don't feel the assessment was carried out at the right time across the day when the children are actually using the crossing for the right amount of time. We'd also like to say that you can change your mind on this, and we continue to urge you to do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Members, does any member wish to propose a motion for council to consider in relation to the petition request? Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, I would like to propose that this decision comes back to Cabinet so that officers are able to provide meaningful reports, and that as Cabinet we can decide and discuss whether this policy goes forward or it needs to be altered.
Thank you. Councillor Elsey.
Thank you, Madam Madam Mayor, I'd like to propose that it goes back to scrutiny because Cabinet have had it and made this disastrous decision. Thank you.
Right, Councillor Cole. Thank you. We need to do a seconder. Oh, Councillor Jamil.
Madam Mayor, I'm a bit confused that someone with the experience of Councillor Elsie has forgotten how this decision was originally made. When the budget, it's not made by Cabinet, it's made by the budget. And I'd like to remind him...
So that's not point of order. Thank you.
It's a point of order. I'm just reminding him that he's giving incorrect facts. It was made at a budget meeting. It wasn't made by Cabinet.
Yes.
I'd just like to remind him who was in charge at that time.
We're dealing with that now. Councillor Cole, do you have a seconder for your motion?
Madam Mayor, I'd be happy to second that.
Councillor Iqbal, do you wish to speak now or reserve your right to speak?
I'd like to reserve my right to speak later in the debate.
Sorry? Oh, it's a seconder? Well, I thought he was... Oh.
Yeah. No, I did. I'm happy to refer it to the other councillor.
Want to reserve his right to speak.
Yes, so Councillor Strange, would you like to second it and reserve your right to speak? Right. Oh, Councillor John Fox, do you have a...
I just want to be clear on one thing. If it goes back to Cabinet, can we get this done urgently? Because the next, meetings in August are less and less. This needs to be dealt with urgently. And that's one of the reasons I suggested it went back to officers so they make an urgent decision now. Because the money can be found. We all know that. If they want to find it, they'll find it.
Okay, thank you.
We need to debate the motion.
Right, we'll now debate the motion from Councillor Cole. Oh.
It's your choice.
What's?
Sarah, Councillor.
I don't know, I guess for clarity, is it not possible to have officers frame up some actual tangible measures that could be put in before it goes to Cabinet so that we're not wasting yet more time?
Thank you.
We're still debating this motion.
Right, we're going to debate the motion from Councillor Cole now, please. Councillor Hogg, have you got?
Thank you. Here's the thing. I think this needs to be dealt with swiftly and quickly. I would hope that officers would prepare some options for Cabinet to make a reasoned decision. And guess what? If we don't feel that they've made the right decision, we can call it in. So there is that option to us. I think that putting it to scrutiny would just lengthen the process because we all know how chopped up scrutiny is in terms of timetable, etc., etc. We could be another year before we get to the final kind of doings of the decision. So from my point of view, I would like to see this going to scrutiny, not to scrutiny, to Cabinet. I would hope that they've taken the mood of the room and that they will do the right thing by us. And if they don't, we'll call it in. So I'm happy to... stop. That sounds like a threat. Didn't mean it to be a threat. Sorry. So, I think that, this is what the Cabinet's there for. They're there to make those decisions. So I'm happy to recommend, certainly to my group, to recommend to support that motion.
Thank you. Councillor Howard.
If I may, through you, Madam Mayor, I'm quite happy to support the motion for it to go to Cabinet. The whole premise of it going back to Cabinet is the fact that we did have it as a budget proposal and that budget proposal was voted through. But it was always voted through on mitigations being done first before the outcome of the crossing patrols being removed. I'm not fully convinced that's been done. If it goes back to Cabinet, they can have a full report on it and they can then make a much more informed decision. We must make sure the mitigation review has been done properly and fully. Listening to the debate tonight, I'm not fully sure it has been. It needs to be by the time it goes back to Cabinet.
Councillor Amjad Iqbal.
Thank you, and through you, Madam Mayor. I fully agree with Councillor Fox. This is a matter that needs to be dealt on an urgent basis. It should go back to Cabinet, and as Councillor Hogg said, if we're not happy with the proposal, we can always call it in. So, yes, I totally agree, and I would like to second that and support it.
Thank you. Councillor Ray.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, happy to support the recommendation to go back to Cabinet. I'd just ask if potentially we could have a slight change to the wording, that it go to the next available Cabinet meeting. We're on a clock. We've got 6 weeks where the kids aren't at school, so thankfully we've got a little bit of time. Let's try and get this done before they go back in September.
Next one. Councillor Harper.
Thank you. Yes, I support this going to Cabinet, but Councillor Ray has raised a very valid point that I was going to do, that the 18th of August Cabinet meeting has been cancelled. So could we get that reinstated or a different date done rather than wait until the 23rd of September?
Too late.
Please. Thank you.
Late.
Thank you. Councillor Ali.
Yeah, I'd support this going back to Cabinet as well. I thought it's just worth making the point. A few members have said we voted for this because it was in the budget, but you have to remind people that if you don't agree with everything in the budget, sometimes you're forced to vote for a budget because otherwise you can't collect your council tax. So I don't think all members sat here and willingly voted for a canning of lollipop ladies. I think sometimes things are in the budget and they're not exactly made clear. So I'll just caveat that a little bit.
Thank you. Any more speakers on the debate? Oh, Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, I wasn't going to say a great deal. I think that there'll be nobody in this chamber is going to say, look, we want to get rid of crossing patrols. Everybody would like to reinstate them, but it does come back to the fact much vaunted budget that was agreed by everybody and lauded as such. And you're right, it occasionally contains some things that come back and bite you. But this is really, really simple. With the finance chief and the chief executive and the leader of the council, you just need to put the money back in. If you want it to happen, it doesn't need Cabinet or anybody else. Just get some legal advice, ask the chief finance officer, ask the chief executive, and Dennis, you either do it or you don't do it. Simple as that.
Thank you. Any more speakers? Okay. Councillor Stone, would you like to reserve your right to speak?
I don't think I can add anything more than what's already been said, so thank you very much, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Cole, would you like to sum up?
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. I agree with Councillor Ray when he said, could we change the wording so that it, regarding the mitigating factors, could be looked at, and that this decision is made as quickly as possible, please.
Thank you. I will now hand over to Rachel to run the vote on this proposal.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, we're now voting on the motion from Councillor Cole. Is that agreed? Because I seem to feel it is agreed, so I won't go to the electronic vote. Thank you. It's agreed, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, members. The motion has been carried. Mr. Boo, the debate has now concluded and you will receive a written response detailing the outcome of the debate and the next steps. Oh, here we are. Thank you. We'll now move on to agenda item 7B, petitions from members. Are there any petitions being presented this evening from members? Thank you. As no petitions have been presented to this meeting by members of this council, I will move on to item 8. Agenda item 8, questions on notice. There have been 10 questions submitted by members to this meeting. All questions have been published on the council's website and will be taken as read. The Council's standing orders allows 30 minutes to consider these questions. Any questions that cannot be answered during this period will be dealt with by a written answer. Councillor Dennis Jones, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Fox in relation to justification for the appointment of Cabinet advisers? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question, John. I'm not sure whether to address the hypocrisy of the question or the irony. As I regard you neither as a hypocrite nor a man of irony, I will address the motive behind the question. First, let me address your concerns over 3 councillors who, despite identifying as independents, now hold scrutiny chairs within the minority Labour administration. The implication that these individuals have sold their independence for influence, costing taxpayers nearly £30,000. Councillor Fox himself, once the banner waver of independence, was, lest we forget, a founding member of Peterborough First, a political party, whose sole aim was to wrest control from their former allies, fellow Conservatives, back in 2023. It's perhaps worth to mention at this point the email sent to me offering scrutiny committee chairs to Labour councillors on the condition they didn't stand against Councillor Farouk. This wasn't an oversight, this was strategy. Whilst the so-called alliance was offering only scrutiny chairs, I've continued the practice of appointing opposition members to all scrutiny and regulatory committees, as I believe that no administration should mark its own homework. What we're witnessing is not a deviation from politics, it's politics itself. And the true danger lies not in backroom deals, but in selective outrage. If we're to scrutinise spending, strategy and appointments, then let's do so without political amnesia. Now to your reference on the appointment of cabinet advisers, as you're aware because you were once was a cabinet adviser, playing a crucial role supporting cabinet members and their portfolios. This administration is committed to fulfilling its responsibility to the council. The decision to introduce 3 cabinet advisers' roles aims to strengthen the portfolios of children, adults and finance, which are the most in need of additional support. If my memory serves me correctly, you accepted a cabinet advisor role within the very administration your newly found party had orchestrated. So when you condemn others for doing precisely what you did, aligning for power and resources, one must ask whether the problem is the act or simply who performed it. I'm confident that you experienced familiar needs and benefits during the time when Peterborough First was in administration, and you held a similar post. The outrage over personal development as justification for these roles is understandable in isolation. Politics is an opinion business. Forgive me disagreeing with yours over this. But then the same individuals making identical offers, albeit behind the curtain, it begins to feel like theatre. The concern is not truly for the lollipop lady in Warrington, it's that the roles for chairs and cabinet advisers were filled by somebody else. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor John Fox, you have a supplementary question. You have 1 minute to ask this.
No, thank you, Madam Mayor. There's no real point.
Thank you. Councillor Alison Jones, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Hogg in relation to parking enforcement on match days? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question, Councillor Hogg. For the home match for Posh against Luton Town, we will provide parking enforcement officers undertaking dedicated patrols in residential streets, as well as managing nearby car parks. Parking services are developing and implementing several plans to tackle inconsiderate parking around the football stadium over the season, including enforcement and public messaging. To kick the season off, officers will be deployed to take enforcement on match days. For the Luton home game, you specifically mentioned, we have allocated 5 officers. We are working with comms and will be running social media campaigns throughout the season to promote our car parks and when not to park in residential areas in Peterborough United are playing at home. We are also engaging with Peterborough United for their support on promoting car park locations to both home and away fans, where they can and cannot park to reduce inconsiderate parking. I'm sorry you haven't received a response from officers regarding your question in January. Be assured I have looked into this and will continue to do so. However, I am aware that you met with Adam and Claire on the 29th of January to discuss various parking issues, from increases in enforcement officers, tariffs, fee increases, etc., which I trust you found beneficial and may have had some of your questions answered. I wish Posh every success for the season and that for the 4th of August and all home games, the issues with parking will reduce through these new arrangements being introduced. As we all appreciate, no one can eliminate this, but I'm sure you agree we certainly have plans in place for a good season for parking enforcement officers and residents. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Hogg, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. And thank you for your response, Councillor Jones. It's great news that we've got an increase in the number of officers. The problem doesn't just manifest in Fletton, but also in terms of my ward, but it also goes through to Stanground, believe it or not, because of the underpass through St John's. And that's something that gets an extremely light touch, if at all, on match days. And I would like to see if the team would be able to have a look at that. But also the signage for the Fletton Quays multi-storey car park, whilst people that live in Peterborough know where it is, doesn't mean that people visiting, and I think if you go to most cities, that around match days, they tend to put out some temporary signage to increase the visibility of parking, and that may be something that we could look into. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Alison-Jones, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Hogg, for your suggestions. Again, be assured I will take them back up with Claire. I'll personally speak to her tomorrow. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Cole, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Allen in relation to additional family hubs? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you, and thank you, Councillor Allen, for this question. Peterborough has had a long-standing goal of providing effective and flexible support for families. The previous Labour government introduced Sure Start. There are many families, including my own, that benefited from this Labour policy. Despite financial difficulties Peterborough faces, we are supporting our family hubs. This year we received a £1.4 million grant for our family hubs. Alongside this investment in free breakfast clubs and an expansion of free school meals, this government and this council are committed to ensuring that children thrive when they are young and move into adulthood, as they move into adulthood. Since launching the family hubs, we've achieved a 139% increase in the footfall because of more services being provided and increased awareness across Peterborough. My vision for family hubs is to deliver a model of a hub and a spoke throughout the city. Therefore, we are currently exploring rural offers and have had early discussions about a family hub spoke delivery in Eye, and are also supporting the PEEP Learning Together programme, which is going to be held in Wittering. We are reviewing all of our family hub delivery locations to ensure we are responding to demand and need, to ensure that we are delivering this support to rural, suburban and urban communities.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and yes, indeed, just a quick follow-up, if I may. I realise the council leader has Peterborough as a child-friendly city as his mission, and we all get behind that. In fact, we've just discussed how children need to be seen into their schools with lollipop ladies. It's all on the same theme, so I'm pleased that we're going to have some more family hubs. A great idea. I did approach officers when this was first put on the table and asked them to look at rural locations. That is now coming to fruition, and may I encourage the thought that perhaps the premises in Eye could be the youth club, which is under threat of being closed without cutbacks. So thank you very much to the Cabinet member, and let's get behind these family hubs. The question is, will you look at youth club / library as a location?
Thank you. Councillor Cole, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Allen. I'm currently well aware that there is a library review going on at the moment, of which you are part of, and I look forward to the results of that, but I am committed that all communities across this city, whether they are rural or live in urban areas, have support from our family hubs, because they are fantastic for this city. They're supporting families, and they're giving much needed support to families who are challenged in many, many ways.
Thank you. Councillor Thorburn, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Allen in relation to provisions for a youth zone in the city? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Of course I will. On-site youth zones are funded through a combination of capital, building, and revenue running costs. Building costs elsewhere are typically split between local authorities, grant funding and philanthropic donations, if I could say it, while running costs are primarily supported by local individuals and businesses. The development of a new youth zone requires around 10 million for construction and staff training, and in work with Onside we have been clear we need to be creative and ambitious in our approach to fundraising to find alternative sources of support other than local authority borrowing. The annual running costs for youth zone are around 1.3 million, which is generated through donations, philanthropic funding and other fundraising opportunities. The benefits to young people right across Peterborough will be significant, as they will to the council in terms of prevention and cost savings achieved by having a facility offering alternative support and development services to young people of Peterborough. Savings will be achieved through things such as reduced demand for services, reduced ASB, improved mental health, improved educational attainment and increased aspirations. On-site's model has also shown a significant social return on investment, meaning that for every pound invested there is a substantial return of positive outcomes for young people and the wider community. I hope that helps with the question.
Thank you. Councillor Allen, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just again, a quick question. I think that the funding model of the youth zones is a challenge because you do need a lot of outside funding. The charity that run it are pretty good at doing that. When I went to Barking with colleagues, there was a well-known local personality putting a huge amount of money into that particular facility. And of course the challenge is it has to be a new build. So I think that the In Touch programme, the youth zone programme is challenging itself with the business model. But I'd just like to know if we are going down that route, any of our funding, will it be lost to other youth facilities in the city? Will it all go into one big location, and that will threaten other facilities in the city and indeed in our rural areas? Could I have an answer to that question, please?
Thank you. Councillor Thurban, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Through you, Madam Mayor. The first point would be, if they put the right facilities on, it will escalate and it will spread and people will come, is probably my easiest answer to the question. But yes, you're right. How will it affect other areas? The funding is primarily, the method of funding to run these is to run that particular site, and there is no intention at all to affect any other part of the provision across the city. But as a central hub, if they do it well, the kids will come. And that's what I'm seeing. It's a significant and a very creative way of dealing with this type of service. So I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. Councillor Thurban, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Garrity in relation to the youth zone and alignment with the replacement pool project? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Through you, Madam Mayor, sorry about that. The project has not been dropped, as we've just been discussing. In fact, we have been actively engaging communities to understand what Peterborough's residents would want from such a project. We have been engaging with the public throughout June and July on this project, and during August we will analyse the collective feedback and publish an engagement report and produce a statement of community involvement document. We have also been actively engaging with the combined authority on the need for youth zones as well as a swimming pool. These facilities feature in investment pipelines projects lists for Peterborough. We would like to find cost savings and ways of delivering all the facilities our community would like to see and actively use. The model for the youth zone operates on the basis of being a purpose-built, safe environment for young people. In discussion with young people, they have made this very clear. A safe environment with trusted support services is more important to them than access to any actual sports and leisure facilities. We will continue to keep members updated on these developments.
Thank you. Councillor Garrity, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you for your answer. Just a quick one. Given that we've still waiting for the works to start for the Vine project, which I think was agreed approximately 3 years ago. How long will we have to wait to see the start of the Youth Zone project?
Thank you. Councillor Thurman, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
The first part of the question is funding. To actually project when, where, is to do with the funding. The project at the moment is trying to get funding. As you can probably understand, it's a difficult part of the process. The actual running of the service, I am actually very confident from what I've seen about how that will be funding and how we go forward. And you're right, things have slipped in the past. The Vine project is not 3 years, it's closer to 8. So that is actually moving forward now. So that process around how things are actually beginning to move and to move at pace is beginning to go across a number of other projects, including the Youth Zone. So the change in how we do it is actually beginning to come to fruition. So you'll see the pace of things move as time moves on quicker. I hope that helps.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis-Jones, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Geraghty in relation to the article relating to Peterborough Communities Radio tenancy? You have 3 minutes to do so.
It's very kind of you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for your question, Councillor Geraghty. We're in continuing dialogue with Peterborough Community Radio to sort out the tenancy. We've now issued, or we're in the process of issuing, formal terms that include paying a fair market rent just like any other tenant would. This is part of our wider effort to make sure all council properties are treated consistently and fairly. Our estates team is following up and legal services are ready to step in if indeed needed. This follows my instruction to tidy up older arrangements that no longer, or that may no longer, offer best value for the council. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Geraghty, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, and through you. Thank you for your answer. I guess it's just a timescale that when can we expect to see rent starting to be paid? Thank you.
Councillor Dennis-Jones, would you like to respond?
It's work in progress, Madam Mayor. There's 60 people in here who've just covered their eyes at that thought.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Skipstead in relation to the fly tipping and waste policy management task and finish group? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Councillor Skipstead, and thank you, Mrs Mayor. As Cabinet Member for Environment and Transport, I requested that the Land, Environment and Climate Change Scrutiny Committee supported my request to set up a cross-party task and finish group to examine the issue of fly tipping back in January. Since then, the group that has been established has met twice. Firstly, to appoint the chair and discuss the work required by the group, and secondly, to review evidence prepared by officers, which included an overview of interventions that have taken place over recent years, data detailing the volume and location of fly tipping activity, performance data and existing policy. Unfortunately, the third meeting had been delayed whilst the membership was reviewed due to the uncertainty at the full council in June, with new councillors subsequently being appointed to the group. This third meeting is due to take place shortly, with the work expected to conclude later this year.
Thank you, Councillor Skipstead. Do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I do. I've been in the council 6 years, and I know there's been another fly tipping task and finish group previously who came with suggestions of what could be done. And as a council in an area where we have persistent fly tipping hotspots, I would very much like to see investment in CCTV cameras and fines given as a deterrent for these areas, which has not happened for many, many years. Constant collection of fly tipping here is very costly. So I'd just like to know, when would this likely to be happening going forward? Will this be happening going forward? And if so, when? Because it's something that I get asked all the time by residents. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ellis, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Skipstead. And of course, the Task and Finish Group will report back to the Scrutiny Committee. and then the scrutiny committee can consider that and consider what other things need to be taken forward. On the issue of CCTV, which you mentioned, the council has got CCTV equipment that can and is regularly deployed to suitable locations across the city. This is undertaken based on the evidence need, e.g. volume and frequency of fly tipping, and suitable locations for the equipment to be installed. Officers always welcome suggestions for location, so please feel free to feed them in. And if you have any other thoughts about how we can stop fly tipping across the city, welcome to hear them. Obviously you have a representative on that fly tipping group, so please feed things into them.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Skipstead in relation to the Peterborough Community Radio tenancy? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor. In addition to what Councillor Jones said in his answer to an earlier question, as part of the ongoing corporate asset review, which assesses all council-owned properties on a rolling basis, PCR's occupation was identified as needing formalisation. As noted above, heads of terms have now been issued and legal services are supporting the process to ensure that the council enforce fair and transparent occupation agreements across all tenants, including community organisations. This action is consistent with the council's wider approach to ensuring best use and fair value from its property portfolio. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Skipstead, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
Thank you, Madam. I do. I understand the justification, but I'm also aware of how this has looked in the local area where community centres are struggling to survive. Locally, a new charity has just moved into the Goldhay Centre and are paying quite a large amount of rent. So can the Cabinet member inform how many other businesses have been exempt from paying rent to the council and what the reasons are for those that are exempt? Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
I can do, Madam Mayor, but offhand I don't know the figures and the organisations, but I can certainly look into it and get back to everyone.
Thank you.
I will get you a written answer.
Thank you. Councillor Alison Jones, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Hogg on enforcement of the Public Spaces Protection Order at Pleasure Fair Meadow Car Park and what commitment has been secured from Cambridgeshire Constabulary? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for your question, Councillor Hogg. To remind everyone why the Public Space Protection Order for Pleasure Fair Meadows Car Park was made, it was namely to prevent vehicle-related nuisances and antisocial behaviour, as over the years the Council and police have received numerous calls from nearby residents around the impact of the dangers on individuals with the car in that area in terms of persistent noise as well as littering. Over recent years, this has become a hotspot for unauthorised car meets and car cruising events. The Public Space Protection Order will allow enforcement of antisocial driving at car meets. If individuals are not breaching it, they will not receive a fixed penalty notice. I confirm the Public Space Protection Order came into effect at the weekend 19th of July, just gone, and has been robustly enforced from the outset. Parking officers have dedicated an operation to enforce the PSPO all weekends until the end of August in order to respond to incidents swiftly and effectively, alongside using the high visibility patrols to prevent incidents. Both police and council enforcement teams are working closely with partnership to ensure a coordinated response, which will be reviewed on a weekly basis. Along with high-vis patrols, enhanced CCTV monitoring is also taking place to capture any offences which are not enforced at the time, ensuring that individuals in breach of the PCPO receive a fixed penalty notice. A PSPO includes conditions which anyone caught breaching them can face fines of up to £1,000 or the fixed penalty notice. At the recent announcement of the additional funding from the government for police officers to the city last week, I personally spoke to Inspector Sam Tucker to ensure that he had his officers in place to monitor this area, for which he assured me he had. An update from the weekend. On Saturday, we gave out a total of 9 tickets for breaching PSPO conditions and spoke to lots of people, giving them words of advice to help educate them around the new order. People and cars swiftly moved on from Pleasure Fair Meadows car park, and by midnight it was empty. Sunday, the message had clearly got out and there was no one in the car park. A plan we have will actually be reviewing all of this with partners at the end of August. Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Hogg.
Thank you. Councillor Hogg, do you have a supplementary question? You have 1 minute to ask this.
I do, Madam Mayor. Thank you very much, and thank you. The reason for this is that the Pleasure Fair Meadow car park it acts as a magnet to bring these vehicles into town from all over, essentially having a lot of these car cruising people, and then they go off and race across the city. So this was never going to be the solution. This was more of a temporary to try and ease the amount that comes into the city. The solution is this citywide injunction.
Excuse me, Councillor Hogg, can you sum up? Have you got a question to ask?
What I want to know is how long is it going to take for the injunction to come into fruition? I fear that I may not live to see its inception.
Thank you. Councillor Alison Jones, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In terms of the citywide injunction, I will obviously get details from you on that. However, what we are aware of is that when we move it from one place, it might move to another. And so we are aware of areas around the city that we will now keep a closer view on as well. And we're also talking to some of the car cruising events people that put that on to try and work with them. So there's other hotspots we'll keep our eye on, and I'll get back to you on the date on that. Thank you, Councillor Hogg. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond to the question from Councillor Fox in relation to disabled access for public at the Town Hall? You have 3 minutes to do so.
Thank you very much, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor John Fox, for the question. The Council fully recognises the importance of ensuring equal access to public buildings for all members of the community, including residents with disabilities. The lift at the front entrance of the Town Hall, which serves as the main access point for visitors with limited mobility, was recently taken out of safety due to safety concerns. In response, a new disabled access lift has been ordered to replace the existing one. In the interim, step-free access is available via the rear of the Town Hall. The access point will be actively managed and maintained by reception staff and the Beadles, ensuring that no resident is denied physical access to council services. Signage should be at the front of the building, guiding the public out of all users of the access arrangements for people who require assistance. If the signage is not in place or unclear, this will be addressed. With particular point to San Martin House, we will explore how this matter can be improved for visitors with limited mobility. The Council remains committed to fulfilling its duties under the Equality Act 2010 and upholding its value of inclusivity by removing barriers to access wherever possible.
Thank you. Councillor John Fox, do you have a supplementary question?
Yes,
you have
Madam,
1 minute to ask.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I do. Given that the Council has long been aware of its legal obligations under the Equality Act 2010, can the Cabinet Member explain why no contingency plan was put in place when the lift first became inoperable? If there was a plan, then what was it and why was it not shared with members? Can you explain why disabled residents have been expected to tolerate second-class access to council services for so long without urgent intervention? As for the rear access lift you talk about, that is continually closed and unaccessible. As somebody who visits regular, we have to walk sometimes all the way around from the back to the front, and also we can, if we get hold of a certain person, who will come and open it up for us. But other members of the public don't realise that because they've not been told. This is not equality as far as I see it, and I wondered why members wasn't shared with this and arrangements weren't put in place. That's all I'm asking.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, would you like to respond? You have 2 minutes to do so.
Yeah, I certainly will. I certainly share your frustration and will endeavour to work with officers to get this rectified as soon as possible. And I apologise to anyone who's faced inconvenience as a result of it, but we'll make sure from tomorrow that we're on top of it and it won't happen again.
Thank you, members. We have received one question from Councillor Hogg in relation to the Cambridgeshire and Peterborough Combined Authority Council tax precepts. Councillor Thorburn, please could you respond to Councillor Hogg's question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the question, Councillor Hogg. The Council collects the council tax on behalf of the CPCA. Therefore, we act as an administrator. Like Peterborough City Council must set a balanced budget, which sets out the gross income and expenditure, so does the CPCA. Unfortunately, breaking the expenditure down into local authority areas when the CPCA footprint is not information reported on or readily available. I will obviously ask that question to see if that data is available, but I've not seen it at the moment.
Thank you. Councillor Hogg, do you have a supplementary question for Councillor Thorburn?
Well, I have to say I'm slightly disappointed by that answer in the fact that essentially taxpayers across the Peterborough City Council area are paying a precept specifically that when it came in and there was a 300% raise and the Conservatives used that in their campaign literature ad nauseum. So a lot of money is going into the CPCA to deal with bus services, and I think it is beholden on our rep to make sure that we are getting the money that we're paying in, and that we're not subsidising the rest of Cambridgeshire with our precept money. So I think it's really important that we get an answer to this question. Are we getting value for money? It's really simple as that. So if you could please come back to me, that would be really, really good. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Thurban, would you like to respond to Councillor Hogg's supplementary question?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The actual Fund or Investment Committee, it's now called the Funding Committee, it looks at a whole range of different monies coming through, and we basically sit and scrutinise what is going on. The data, and we support Peterborough in everything that we do. I just simply don't get and don't see and can't see where the data is coming from for each individual authority. I think it's more to do with the CPCA, the way their data set up, more than anything else. But I can certainly go back and ask that question. It's a bit more complicated as well, It's, some money is invested in, one example, some money was invested in Cambridge and then a further small fund was invested. The money, no money actually came here, but if the project is successful, across the city, thousands of households will be hundreds of pounds better off. So how you balance one budget against another is quite a complicated bit. But I'll certainly take it back to the committee next time it sits.
Thank you. I will now move to item 9, Executive and Committee recommendations to the Council. There are no recommendations to consider, as there has not been any put forward by a committee or Cabinet Council to consider. I will therefore move to the next item. Item 10 is in relation to the record of executive decisions detailed on pages 31 to 34 of your agenda pack. The leader will introduce this item and any questions will be answered by the leader unless he refers them to another member. I would remind councillors that they should ask questions on the decisions in the reports. All questions should be relevant to the decision itself. Should I feel that any preamble is unreasonably long, I will instruct councillors to ask their question immediately. Can members please note that once I have moved on, questions will not be accepted from previous pages. Councillor Dennis Jones, would you please introduce the item?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd be delighted to introduce the item, and questions are welcome from the floor, and I will either answer them or refer them to the Cabinet member as you suggest. Thank you.
Thank you. I will take each page in turn. Could members please refer to the title or reference number of the decision when asking a question? First one, page 31. Councillor Hogg.
You'd be disappointed if I didn't have a question for the first page. My question is about the pooling strategic SIL funds. I just wanted to know what safeguards are in place to stop the administration from moving funds from, say, Haddon towards which would politically advantage the administration going forward. So, you know, we take money out of the SIL money that from projects in Haddon and then use them in, I don't know, Central Ward, or what safeguards are in place?
As far as I'm aware, you can't do it once it's been allocated, but I'll ask Nick, have you any more ideas?
Well, the decision says quite clearly that it's about the strategic portion of the SIL income received from the date of approval of the revised governance arrangement to be pooled into a single pot to be allocated by the central board to project funds in accordance with the council's capital spending priorities. That says to me that money that is raised in Haddon for Haddon projects can be used elsewhere in the city. And what I'm saying is what safeguards are in place to stop. I'm not suggesting that you would do that, but you know, you may not be empowered in 6 months' time. I don't know. So what I'm saying is what safeguards are in place to stop an administration taking political decisions on where they want to spend the money for political advantage.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis-Jones.
I'll hand this over to Councillor Thorburn. He's more than willing to take it. I've missed a trick in not allocating it, obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. How can I guarantee that we politically won't move money from one part of a city to the other? Simply governance and capacity managers within that framework will enable and enhance what the situation at the moment to ensure that actually areas are consistently considered and done correctly is probably the simplest answer. Is that helpful?
Thank you. Next one, Councillor Ali.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. It's on the pooling strategic CIL funds as well. Just on the second point, it talks about the neighbourhood portion of CIL. Roughly, how is it split between neighbourhood and non-neighbourhood, and what's the total value at the moment? And also in there, it implies that there's going to be additional support for non-parished areas to be able to access some funding for potential neighbourhood activities. That seems to imply that parished areas have an automatic mechanism. It'd be interesting to know that what kind of rollouts are happening to non-parished areas to help them support in accessing this funding.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis-Jones.
Councillor Thorburn.
Through you, Madam Mayor, thanks. If I got the question correctly, you're interested in how you actually apply for funds through the SIL from non-parished areas. I didn't quite catch it, it was a bit muffled.
Yeah, two parts. Firstly, how does it split between funds available for neighbourhood applications? Because it talks about the neighbourhood portion of CIL. So what's the other portion? How do they split, and what's the value? And secondly, the point implies that non-parished areas will have improved access to these funds. And because it mentions non-parished, I'm guessing parished areas probably already have existing ways in which they can access these funds?
I got you now, sorry. Well, so the simple answer is that the management and the process that is being put in place with these changes enable and encourage these applications for SIL within the 15% of non-parished areas. So there will be a much broader and a much clearer way of actually getting access and putting applications through. Not guarantee you're going to get what you want, but the process will be clearer and better managed.
Thank you. Councillor Elsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It refers to point A, the Armed Forces Covenant. Obviously, I'm delighted that we've re-signed to the Armed Forces Covenant, being the councillor who brought it to the council in the first place. But I've got two questions on it, because we note the series of pledges that the council can make. My question is, what are we doing about the pledges? Because two of the pledges are that a priority should be given to ex-services personnel for housing, and I'd like to know in the last 2 years what proportion of veterans have been given that priority as opposed to other groups, and also access to mental health services for veterans who are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder and other symptoms. What priority has been given to those veterans to access those services? Thank you.
Not quite sure of the
Thank you,
relevance.
Dennis Jones.
Yeah, sorry, Madam Mayor, I'm not quite sure of the relevance of some of those questions to the question, but I'll ask Councillor Alison Jones as it's your specialist subject.
Thank you for that, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the comment, Christian Hogg. Okay, so in terms of the covenant, if I've got this right from you, obviously what we signed was the community covenant, which now means that we're going to get that signed in terms of a ceremonial situation, and then we can apply for national accreditation for the actual covenant, and then we have plans under each of those areas so that we can see how we're performing against each of those, actually the ones that are in the covenant. For example, is the council, what priority are we giving to employ people? All right, so that's really what that one's about. But now if you're asking for specific numbers, as you can appreciate, I don't have those off the top of my head. However, I can find out for you.
Do you have supplementary?
Yeah, thank you for your response, Councillor Jones. I didn't expect for a second that you'd have the information to hand, because they're kind of curveball questions, but the reality is that we've had the Armed Forces Covenant for probably 10 years now, and we should be pushing those various points to the forefront of the decisions that we're making to make sure that our service personnel are looked after. So if you could provide the information of how, I'm not suggesting it's you as an administration, but how the council has performed over the last couple of years, then that would be very helpful.
Thank you,
Alison
Madam Mayor.
Jones.
Yes, I will do that and provide a report format for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next one, Councillor Howard.
Thank you. For you, Madam Mayor. It only seems fair to have another question on pooling the strategic CIL funds. I was just going to ask, is it possible to put a summary report of where that money might be going through FSWG or through the Sustainable City Council scrutiny, so that there is some reassurance to members who've asked the right questions about it, to be fair, has some reassurance and give some sort of measure of what is going on with that funds? Because on paper it sounds like it could be a good idea and could do some good stuff, but I think it'd be nice to get a political check-in of the stuff that is going on with it.
Councillor Dennis Jones.
Yeah, the report that's made available to us at Cabinet, I don't know if you want to add anything, Nick, but what's been reported to us Cabinet, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, fair question, fair point.
Thank you. Councillor Anthony's.
Thank you, Mayor. My question is relating to page 31, again, the pooling of the section 106. I represent Hampton Great Haddon. I've done an enormous amount of work there, and there is an enormous shortfall at this moment in time with the required community infrastructure and the funds that are available. Now, this goes back some years. I am concerned that the decisions on allocation of capital will be made by the Capital Board, which is what I understand is the intent. And I really would like a meeting with Councillor Tholborn to look at this, because Hampton is probably one of the largest development areas in Peterborough at the moment, and we do need to have this looked at as an integrated plan. If I may just add a component to that, which is also the community and youth centre proposals, again, a hub and spoke type arrangement. So effectively what I would like to do is meet with the Cabinet and look at the mechanisms.
Excuse
that
me,
really
please.
is what I would like to do.
Oh,
Thank you.
Sorry, Councillor Dennis Jones.
I'll hand it over to Councillor Thulborn. You may be surprised to hear.
Through you, Madam Mayor, let's get together, let's have a chat and go through the process. More than happy. Oh, you're there? I thought you was coming from there. I've gone deaf. Yeah, let's get together. More than happy to do that. Report's coming through. Some of it's already coming through, so let's get together and you can take it from there.
Thank you. Councillor Mohammed Farouk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. Again, still seems to be the hot topic at the moment. As far as my understanding is concerned, we've had a lot of funding in that particular pot, and we continue to get that. And what that funding is it identifies is to a particular area and particular aspects in that area, for instance, education, community, transport. So are we changing this governance to remove that money from those areas and putting them together then so that we can then spend it overall in Peterborough? That's one part of the question. And second part is generally looking at 2 or 3 of these decisions, the procurement process does not seem as though, it doesn't identify or show that for most of these contracts there was a procurement process followed to deliver a best value for money. So was that the case, or were the contracts renewed with the current suppliers? Thank you. Two questions there.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones.
I'm going to hand it over to Nick Thorburn, but I don't. Nick, have you got any more? Can you shed some light on that for us?
Well, the SIL changes are going to come into a larger pot, and it's going to be managed differently. But you're right, the SIL and everything around that is all part of negotiations and contractual elements to that. For more detail, I can get back to you more detail. We can sit down together and similar to the other councillors, we can go through what the process is and actually push out a report to show you this. But it's the change is to create a pot, and the change is to the method of allocation to speed that up is the way I would describe it.
Thank you. Councillor Fitzgerald. Sorry, Councillor Mohammed Farouk, do you have a supplementary?
I just have a quick follow-up on that. So does that put the money coming in at risk? So, for example, if a particular developer is developing, say, Persimmons is developing, say, in Haddon, as we mentioned earlier, and they find that then that money is spent elsewhere, would that risk them putting that money in, or would that not be the case?
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones.
Not to my knowledge, but Nick...
No, it won't put it at risk. There's 2 elements to it. One in the agreement, and the other one's the SIL in the pot. 2 different scenarios.
Thank you. Sorry, Councillor Fitzgerald.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I sit here in growing frustration because it is clear to me that many members in this room do not understand SIL or Section 106, which are 2 different things altogether. There is nothing new here, apart from in the decision, and I do have a question, either for leader or the expert, Councillor Thulborn, in the room. But SIL funds are typically, I'll read this to you, allocated for specific infrastructure projects that support development that don't necessarily need to be directly linked to that development or those funds. The neighbourhood portion of SIL may be passed to local communities for spending on local infrastructure. The main portion, though, is pooled and always has been. I think our share in Meacham Homes was bought through SIL, a war chest that we built up. So people need to understand this. So what I would suggest or respectfully ask is those that are on planning probably should know all this. And if you've been on planning for a while, you would do. But maybe through the leader, somebody in the executive can explain what is going on. So there is no protection needed because it's already covered by legislation and policy. And we have those policies in place in the council, and we have done. And there is a capital board, which is officers, primarily, I think Nick might sit on it, I presume so, I don't know, that would decide what is done with the pooled funds. And as I said previously, Meacham Homes. So Dennis, would you perhaps, through officers, arrange a session on SIL and Section 106 for the members of this council? Otherwise we'll be here all night talking about it.
I think it's a good idea because they are very discrete ways of dealing with things, and even I got one bit confused before, but there's also a very good paper on it that describes which is which. So, maybe that could either be circulated or recirculated, certainly.
Thank you. Right, the last one is Councillor Sudbury. Oh, Ramsey. Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's again about the pooling of the sale. I think I've read the papers, the cabinet papers, and it seems as that the cabinet members haven't read those papers. It talks about the percentages for the parish council. It's about 25%, and there's also about the neighbourhood scheme as well. My question is about a ward like mine at Ravensthorpe, which doesn't have a parish council either. It doesn't have a neighbourhood scheme. So would the wards like mine would be deprived of this funding?
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones.
So just one of the things that I'll pass it on again to Nick, but one of the things is that the capital spend and monitoring, it's presented to councillors on a quarterly basis. I'm just trying to it is in a report, and I don't know whether anybody wants to pick that up. I don't know if you've anything to add on that, but this is stuff that's already out there in the public domain. So I'm not sure there's anything further to add, but Nick, if you...
Why not? Through you, Madam Mayor, sorry. So the funds available from SIL that sit outside parish areas and neighbourhood areas is 15%, and the process, one of the changes is actually to allow that funding to be accessed much easier, is probably the answer to your question, I hope.
But we'll move on to page 32 now. Any questions? No? Page 33. Councillor Harper.
I'm just trying to give you the reference for it. I apologise, mine's on 34. Sorry, sorry, Madam Mayor. No, 34.
Councillor Hogg.
Thank you. I'm not sure if this is particularly a question to the cabinet, but we've got in front of us this piece about the Key Theatre downtime, and it talks about special urgency, and yet it doesn't actually say what the special urgency was. It doesn't go into any details whatsoever, and I feel that we need to do better. I understand that there may be some element of this that has commercial, the amount of money or etc., that doesn't need to be put in there because of commercial sensitivities. But we should be able to tiptoe through this issue in such a way as that members of the public have more information as to what this is all about. And why it was a special urgency, and I just want to bring that out into the public forum. So I'm not sure if that's a response from Councillor Jones or what. So yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis Jones.
Yeah, I mean these are commercial sensitivities, not from a council perspective, from the people who actually run it. And when you're using phrases like tiptoe, suggests that there is a degree of sensitivity around it, but if you can suggest a way that we can do it better, that we can tiptoe through the tulips better that way, then certainly I'm more than happy, to look at it. But, we are protecting the commercial sensitivity of the operators here in relation to a council-owned, property.
So, just to respond to that, if I may. Madam Mayor, is that okay? So from my understanding is that this issue is brought about by the fact that there was a rack in the roof of the Keir Theatre. We had to close the Keir Theatre to do some works, and because the Keir Theatre was closed, the operator was unable to operate, and we've basically compensated them on the basis of loss of earnings. But that doesn't need to. That's not confidential. That is what should have been in this report, so that members of the public are able to access this and have a look at it and understand what it means. Essentially,
is that sufficient? Just the fact that the reason why?
And I'm just trying to bring it forward into so that there are at least one or two people listening tonight, hopefully. Probably my good lady partner that just said that she can see me making a fool of myself. But it is important that we have this transparency, that we need people to be able to understand what we're here for, and what we're talking about.
Okay, so not the detail, but the rationale around the detail. Yeah, okay, that's a perfectly reasonable request. Yeah.
Thank you. Apologies, Councillor Harper, I missed you. Did you say you wanted to ask something on 32?
No, it was 34, but it was on this one as well, but it's been done by Councillor Hogg to death, so I'll leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more on 33? No. 34? Councillor Hogg.
So I've actually got two on 34, so I don't know if you want me to ask both of those questions or ask one question and then wait my turn around for the second one. But the first one, it relates to the training standards decoupling. I understand that as a council we provide, we've got an arrangement with Rutland, and I just wanted to know, is that arrangement going to cease to happen as part of the decoupling, or will we continue to support Rutland County Council with their trading standards operations? That's the first question, and then I'll maybe come back to me for the second, or maybe let somebody else have a bite at the cherry first.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis-Jones.
Do you want the short answer or the long answer? No. No. No, it's carrying on. Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Sandra Bond?
Yeah, sorry, Madam Mayor, just to confirm, if there was a second part, there is a decoupling from Cambridgeshire, but not from Rutland. Does that make sense? Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And then I'm sure there's probably many people that...
Excuse me, are you answering your second question now?
Second question, yes, sorry.
Oh, okay, then I'll allow you. I was going to ask Councillor Bond, but if you go ahead.
So I'm sure there will be many people that are not surprised by the question regarding the household recycling centre. I fear, I want to understand what the rationale behind the justification for single cars, only one car per household. I understand that there was other authorities, but we've only just put this in. Why are we restricting it to one vehicle? And at the same time, we're not asking the simple question. When you put the car registration in, we're not asking the simple question: is this car registered to this address? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, can you tell us why you are trying to register a car that's not registered to your address? Now, it may be something very simple, like the elderly parents that haven't got a car, but their son comes and takes their but then they can explain that and then we've got that as a matter of record. So could they please explain the justification for a single car per household?
Thank you. Councillor Dennis-Jones.
I mean, I think that the rationale for that is actually, then it makes it quite complex, and there are a number of nuances in it. But, I mean, Angus, do you want to... Yeah? Angus will pick it up, but okay.
Thank you, Councillor Jones. The decision to limit each household to one active vehicle at a time was made to simplify the application process and reduce admin. Requiring residents to submit proof of vehicle ownership for multiple vehicles would have significantly slowed down the application process and increased the need for manual verification. And also it makes it easier for there not to be any fraudulent use or any changes as well, which can't be accounted for. So that's the reasoning. But
thank you. Councillor Sandra Bond.
Yes, thank you, Mrs. Mayor. My question is related to the Household Recycling Centre. I have concerns regarding the Household Recycling Centre policies and procedures after I was recently contacted by a resident regarding applying for a Household Recycling Centre e-permit. The resident tried to apply for a permit online, but it came up as she already had applied for one, even though she thought she hadn't. Thinking she had a permit, though, she visited the Household Recycling Centre to be told by the operative that her car registration did not match her address and name on the existing permit. The resident then tried to change the details on the permit, but the system would not allow her to, as she did not have a valid permit number. The resident visited the town hall to resolve this issue, but was told to send an email to Housing Recycling Centre, which she did, but has not to date received a response. Please could the Cabinet member responsible for environment and transport confirm that there are policies and procedures in place to safeguard residents from fraudulent applications for an access permit to the Household Recycling Centre? Thank you.
I think I could probably
Thank you.
answer for him, Councillor Bond, but I'll give it. Sorry, Madam.
Councillor Dennis-Jones.
Thank you. I'll give it over to Councillor Ellis. Thank you.
thank you, Councillor Bond. I'm very disappointed to hear what you're telling me, and obviously, if you can send me the details, I will look into the matter, what has happened there. There are checks and balances in, as I understand, and that sort of thing shouldn't happen. But please send me the full details, and we'll make sure we get some resolution for that resident.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. That was going to be my second question. Could you please contact the resident? I will pass her information on to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Harper.
Excellent. There's one question that ain't been asked that I'm going to get a chance to ask. Thank you. Regarding the PSPO on Fairmeadow, obviously I support any action that's taken to prevent ASB involving people and of course vehicles. Having said that, it has been mentioned this is only sought, as it has when they did it in Autumn, to drive this elsewhere, as to be expected. My concern is that, as Councillor Jones, Alison Jones has said, that they're aware of other areas, but we can't, in my view, just keep kicking this around. And I think serious thought needs to be taken into whether there's some way that we can give a provision for this to take place in a safe and a suitable location that, well, it doesn't cause the ASB, it doesn't cause the noise. I know that's not an easy thing to do, but I would certainly ask Councillor Jones, Alison Jones, if you would consider speaking to the local MPs and Huntingdon District Council, because they've got a massive issue on the end of our ward in Facet, which joins on to Stanground South, because the biggest area around our way now is Stanham Way and the Stanground bypass, which border both, and are causing, especially this time of year, sleepless nights, and certainly sleepless into the early hours with racing of bikes and cars. So would you be happy to speak to the MPs and maybe make contact with HDC as to whether any landowners or anybody like that or council could get together and look at some sort of provision rather than just keep kicking it away? Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Dennis-Jones.
How about Councillor Ellison Jones? She's more than happy to answer.
Yeah, thank you for that. What I'll do is, it might be useful actually for you and I to have a catch-up first, so that I get exactly what you're doing. So everybody else is volunteering to catch up with people, so we'll have a coffee as well, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, members. We're now going to have a 15-minute comfort break. We'll be back in 15 minutes to carry on. Thank you. Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you, everyone. We'll move on to agenda item 11, questions on the combined authority decisions made since the last meeting. Item 11 is in relation to the record of combined authority decisions made since the last meeting. I will refer any questions to the relevant combined authority representative. Otherwise, the same rules will apply as at the previous item. Members, these decisions can be found in your agenda pack at pages 35 to 57. I will take each meeting in turn, and members please refer to the title of the decision when asking a question. The combined authority representative who attended the most recent meetings are Combined Authority Board, Councillor Dennis Jones, and this is pages 38 to 44. Are there any questions? No, thank you. Skills Committee, Councillor Alison Jones, and these are pages 45 to 47. Any questions? No, thank you. The next one is the Growth Committee. Now, Councillor Day. Now, Councillor. Sorry? No, Councillor Day's not here, so obviously we can't do that one. Audit and Governance Committee, Peterborough City Council rep unable to attend last meeting. That's pages 50 to 51. Councillor Ali?
I don't think a rep was appointed at the time of the last meeting.
Is that okay? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Overview and Scrutiny Committee, Councillor Antunes, pages 53 to 55. Any questions? No, thank you. And Funding Committee, Councillor Ellis, that's page 56 to 57. Any questions? No, thank you. Agenda item 12, motions of notice. There have been no motions on notice received. I will therefore move to the next item. Agenda item 13, report to council. We are now moving to the reports to council. Item 13A, political balance and allocation of committee seats. Councillor Jamil, would you like to move the recommendations?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly would. I'd like to move the recommendations on page, I can get it, page 59, as set out, all three recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones, I understand that you are seconding. Do you wish to speak now or reserve your right to speak later in debate?
I will second and reserve my right to speak if I need to.
Thank you. Does any member wish to begin debate?
Agreed.
Councillor Hogg?
Just a quick question. Are we all feeling okay? Is anybody moving? Is it, before we, again, change...
I'd say you were being facetious there, Councillor Hogg, if I didn't know you better.
I feel this is the part in the ceremony where the adjudicator says, does anybody have any right cause? Or Sorry, okay. I just thought a bit of levity.
Thank you. Oh, agreed. Thank you. All right, we'll now move on to... Where's the next one? 13, or 13B. 13B here. Yeah. So, item 13B, appointments to committees and other authorities. Councillor Jamil, would you like to move the recommendations?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly would. I would like to move the recommendations on page 71 as out in our agenda pack.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones, I understand that you are seconding. Do you wish to speak now or reserve your right to speak?
I'll reserve my right to speak. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Unless
Does
Christian
any-
Hogg has something to add to that.
Does any member wish to begin debate? Councillor Hogg.
I do have a serious question. So, EDDI, E-D-D-I, I understand that there was a change, some sort of movement away from the current makeup, and we don't seem to have had an answer on that. So, it seems to me from this paperwork nothing's changed, but it's my understanding that something actually has changed. That it's kind of almost gone across council. So I just wanted to know: do we know what the current status of the EDDI group is? Is it still as in the documentation that we have council reps, or was it not widened out? Maybe somebody else that was at that meeting can maybe help us get to the bottom of that.
Thank you,
Or
Councillor.
was I just dreaming?
Thank you, Councillor Jamil.
I can only get back to you on that one. I wasn't expecting that question. I didn't. Yeah, no, that's what I thought. That's why I was surprised.
Sorry, what? You want to speak?
Yes, the debate is about who's the meeting or who's actually the appointed. Okay, is that all agreed? Is that all right? Yeah. Right, excuse me. The next one is item 13C, local government reorganisation. Councillor Dennis Jones, would you like to move the recommendations on the local government reorganisation?
Yeah, I'm happy to introduce the item, and I reserve my right to speak. Madam Mayor, if anybody's got any questions on it, feel free.
Thank you. Councillor Fitzgerald, I understand you wish to second the recommendations. Do you wish to speak now or reserve your right to speak?
I'm happy, Madam Mayor, to second this item, and I will reserve my right to speak, because I think there might be a few comments.
Thank you. Does any member wish to begin? Councillor Shibina-Quirm.
Thank you, Madam Mayoress. I thought that others would be eager to contribute, and I'd go at the end, but that's okay. I'd just like to offer a few thoughts. Would that be okay? With reference to the options that are given. I do note that the fourth option that has been highlighted on page number 10, clause 2.5, hasn't actually been put out for public consultation. I think that should be given as an option for public consultation to the public, and it should be put forward. I'd like some sort of response on that. And also, I'd like to express a preference for that option because Peterborough is unique in its positioning within the region. It's got its own diversity, cultural flavour, quite unlike any of its geographical neighbours, and a wonderful mix of rural and urban habitats. Our ambitions have long been on a helter-skelter of political uncertainty, teamed with being overlooked in the past and hence developing a reputation for being Cambridge's poorer brother. We've been here before. We're just about realising our ambition as a city, which has been long awaited. But we have also had very high levels. We also have very high levels of deprivation, which I fear would be overlooked in the event of formation of a mega council. As a Cabinet Member for Adult Social Care, we're faced with the arduous task of funding our valuable services which risk being diluted and shared across authorities such as Fenland, where there is very little to no adult social care provision. Also, often depending upon the third sector organisations, especially within my portfolio, that so many of our vulnerable residents depend upon, and the valuable relationships we've developed over time with those organisations, I fear merging into 4 or even 3 councils could lose our identity, further deepen the cultural divide, swallowing up the invisibility of our unique demographic, and the threat of celebrating or preserving that could become a distant reality. We just got started on our ambitions for growth, and consistency in a smaller managed area works to our benefit. Splitting up districts isn't a contraindication in the white paper. We need to propose it, extend our boundaries south to encompass the similar demographics that share some of our values and prevent us from becoming swallowed up. We are a high-need area, and making the case for our residents when it comes to funding our directorate services in the event we become a mega council will become challenging. This can be and lastly, a significantly larger council would likely mean much bigger wards, reducing the connection between councillors and their residents, as well as making case workloads unmanageable. There is a risk that this will also make it more difficult to attract a diverse range of potential councillors. So I'll be advocating option clause 2.5 in the report and the last illustrated geographical option on page 10 of the report, but would like to ask whether this option will be put out to public consultation or whether there's any viability in that option. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more? Councillor Harper?
Well done, thank you, and well said. For risk of repeating myself, as I've already done it, regarding this, we too support the A1 corridor idea, which is the Greater Peterborough option, which is option 4. And yes, of course, it needs to go to public consultation, and we'd like to see or hear what the public have to say on that. As I've said, the merger with places such as Huntingdon, Alconbury, and if possible, even pushing down towards St Neots, can only really, if we're looking for growth, help. With the growth, help with the money that's coming in, increase the skills, increase the type of work, so we can drive up the spending power of the city. So absolutely, as a whole group, I know I stand here and say we believe that option D, 4, whatever it is the way to go, and we would urge everybody here to support that one. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil?
Thank you. I too support what my colleague Councillor Kayoum and Councillor Chris Harper said, and I'll go back to the arguments forward earlier this evening by Alderman Sanford. I just think that the people of Peterborough deserve an option that works for them, and I do believe that the option that's been put forward by our 2 MPs works best for us in terms of growth, in terms of keeping our identity, and I just think that also should be put to the people of Peterborough, because I think it will be by far the most popular choice.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think one of the things we've noticed since LGR began, was since the white paper came out in December of last year, is that the numbers have changed. It started out with 500,000. So if you take Essex as an example, it splits neatly into 3 unitary authorities, because there's about 1.5 million people in Essex. But there are now a 4-state solution, and even a 5-state solution in the office, because government has become much more pragmatic and is listening. And one of the things, if you look at Lincoln, for instance, it's likely that they may be able to go with 225. Now, I'm not suggesting for a second that we stay as we are, and I think, as I said in my reply to Alderman Sanford, one of the things we are now is we're keeping the whole thing under review, and I have to thank Matt and the officers that we are working up now a Peterborough Plus or a Greater Peterborough option, because this is now deemed much more estimable than it perhaps was in the first days of the white paper. Thank you.
Thank you. Any more speakers? Councillor Ray?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I suppose for myself, and probably for a lot of residents, one of the big questions is about where this ends. At what point do we stop taking new recommendations? We had 3 here, and I understand our members of Parliament have contributed another proposal. We're now not looking at the 500,000, which was originally kind of a guideline. We also don't seem to still be looking at the whole thing of let's keep boundaries where they are, let's not redraw maps, let's not cut Huntingdonshire in half, etc. But the proposal that we've got, a lot of it is about identity, and I completely accept that. I think that's something that we need to keep local. We need to keep Peterborough at the forefront of whatever we're at. But one of the big things for me is this 4th proposal doesn't include Whittlesea, for example, who would probably align themselves more with Peterborough than they would lots of other areas. Now that's in Fenland District Council and would require drawing a line through Fenland if we just took them, for example. But we're already drawing a line through Huntingdon with that fourth proposal. So at what point are we going to stop accepting new suggestions? At what point are we going to stick to what we've got? Because we're going to be at this for a long time if we're looking for the perfect answer. We had 3, which I believe was whittled down from 6 originally, but then this fourth one has come out of nowhere, so I think we need to set what the options are. Then we can go to the proper consultation and receive people's thoughts on those options, not inviting new input. So I think the consultation is really important, but we need to refine the field a little bit here somewhere.
Thank you. Councillor Howard.
Thank you. And through you, Madam Mayor, I think I'm going to echo quite a few of the comments that have probably already been said. I think the only thing that disappoints me about option D is it's kind of been crowbarred in without going through the process that the other choices have gone through. So the other choices have had a degree of public consultation, and they've probably also had cross-border consultation as well. The fourth option has upset quite a few people in Huntingdon, which is a real shame, because out of the other 3 options, we might end up working with our friends in Huntingdon, so we don't really want to upset them at this stage of the game. But this sort of extra B-side proposal, as it were, has rattled a few cages, which I think is a real shame. I think this should have been done in a different way. I know the MPs pushed to put this in at the last minute, but last minute by name, I think this needs to go through a real proper process and get the public engagement as well. And also the engagement with Huntingdonshire, which I know would be to a limited extent at this stage. But I think the reality for all of us in this room, though, is we're all going to have a different view and a different way of how we see this going. I think in reality, government are going to bring something down on us, and we might end up having to wear it, whatever it is, because I think government will look at all these boundaries, not just for Peterborough, but for all the other areas, Huntingdon, Cambridge, East Cambridgeshire, and they're going to have to make a decision on what's the most viable setup, which is the whole reason we're going through this. I think there's a degree of viability in it. So it comes with a warning that we probably all have our own strong views, but in the end, someone above us is probably going to put the hammer down on this for us, unfortunately.
Thank you. Councillor Cole.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. It's well known that our city is growing, and one of the fastest cities growing across the United Kingdom. With that brings higher levels of deprivation in this area. Higher levels of deprivation means higher levels of pressures and needs on children's services. Within our city of Peterborough, we have more families living in poverty, and so preserving the greater Peterborough boundary, preserving Peterborough's Peterboroughness, means that we are going to be able to bid and advocate for services, for funding that is going to support the children here in Peterborough. Think of jobs, think of employment, think of education opportunities, foster carers that we can bring into our fold. And I would like to know when option 4 will go out to public consultation. I am in favour of this option. Thank you.
Any more questions? Oh, Councillor Hogg.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So we are where we are, I think. You look at the options A, B and C, and the commonality between those 3 is that Cambridge and South Cambs don't want to play with anybody. They've teamed up and they don't want to play with anybody else. So we're now in a position where how do you divvy it up, the rest of the county? My preferred choice would have been Peterborough and Huntingdon together, with Fenland and East Cambs joining together. But the trouble with that is that Fenland and East Cambs isn't big enough, and that is a problem. And ultimately, this fourth option that's come forward from the MPs, and I think that they're entitled to come up with their own ideas just as much as we are. I don't see we have any more of a viewpoint than they do, as in fact members of the public to add to that. So what this is saying, well, that's essentially what we're looking for, but we recognise the fact that actually Fenland and East Cambs isn't going to be big enough. So what we need to do is we need to draw the line in such a way that they can be big enough to survive. I think that those kind of rural areas and work better together, I would have to say. There's an issue with deprivation in Peterborough, but also in Fenland. So sort of Peterborough, Fenland, the old bow tie which got rejected, I can see why that was rejected. Plus the fact that the border between Huntingdonshire and East Cambs is so small, it's if you blink, you miss it. So I think that this new option has a lot of merit, but like anything, it's down to the data. It's a newer option, and so therefore the data hasn't quite fully presented itself. I'm particularly worried about trying to do this 4-2 option of East Cambs, Huntingdon, Peterborough and Fenland. I think that loses all localism. It means that Peterborough's influence is going to be diluted. We're going to have less representation in Peterborough because of the size of the authority. And I think that again, that's one of the reasons why this fourth option does seem to have some legs to it. I get that there's complications in terms of splitting up Huntingdonshire, and it may well
Excuse
be
me, Councillor Hogg, can you sum up? It's gone 3 minutes.
Yeah, so it may well be that Huntingdonshire are not going to be happy with it, in which case it probably won't happen. I don't know, but it does look worth looking into. Is the point? Certainly my favourite so far.
Thank
out
you.
of the 4.
Councillor Allen.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think that the option 4 is too late out the trap. It's an afterthought. It carves up Huntingdon, and something that we must recognise is that, in fact, historically, Peterborough and Huntingdonshire were once a county. So I can't go with this afterthought option. Looking at the others on the table, I'm conscious that maybe B is too large, too remote, takes away the localism of local government. East Cambs is too remote from Peterborough. However, I would go for it as my second choice, and I would jump onto A as the one we should go with. So I won't waffle on too much, but that's my point of view. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Mohammed Farouk.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and through you. As many of my colleagues, Councillor Harper, Councillor Kajum said, and I cannot emphasise enough, this is an opportunity once in a lifetime to get it right. We are designing the very fabric of our society, and unfortunately when you measure it with money, we cannot have two sets of areas where one set of area is capita per head is 70 grand per person earnings, another half perhaps 25 or 30 grand. Furthermore, we need to also preserve our identity, our cultures. Point was made earlier that we may upset Huntingdon, but looking at the other, out of the 4 proposals, 3 propose that we are Huntingdon is part of us. And going on to the numbers side, we are growing fast enough that we will reach that number. And as Councillor Johns earlier said, that 500 is no longer a magic number. You could have anything 250, 300, 350. And in that case, I'm very much in favour of our MP's proposal. And when we talk about government may impose on us. You know what? Those MPs are our government, aren't they? They are running the government. So if they're in favour and it's best interest for Peterborough, I would urge everybody to support it.
Thank you, Councillor Elsey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Once again, I wasn't going to talk because Councillor Harper had said what most of us had already agreed. However, I've heard loads of diatribe about this option 4 being an afterthought, about being last minute, about being shoehorned in. It's complete nonsense. It was put forward, but it didn't stack up because of the numbers. And now that the numbers have changed, it's a viable proposition. So it's now been brought to the table in a way that it is now viable because the numbers have dropped from 500,000 to 300,000. So To suggest that it's been thrown in at the last minute is total nonsense. It's because the numbers have changed. And I've heard lots of talk from my Conservative colleagues about splitting Huntingdon and how that's sacrosanct and people will fall out with us. I refer back to when the Boundaries Commission changed the boundaries. They were all for it. So you can't have it both ways. And as for public consultation, there's more than enough time for this to go out to consultation, and there's also plenty of scope for the likes of Whittlesea and the Yaxley to be included within the proposition. So a lot of the arguments that have been made against it just don't stack up. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Antunes.
Thank you, Mayor. I've spent a year on the Combined Authority Overview and Scrutiny, and I've also attended the Local Government Association conferences on this very topic. There is a lot of history and a lot of experience there, Northampton being a good example. This is a hugely complex question. I'm perhaps going to take a rather radical or heretical approach to this. And we seem to be looking for partners or a relationship, shall we say. And this is going to be, the analogy with a relationship is very important, I think. When we enter that, or when we're seeking that, I feel at the moment we are looking to choose our partner, when really what we should be doing as Peterborough is setting out our ideology, our precepts, our vision, identifying who we are, what our attributes are, what our challenges are, which may be opportunities, and then seeking those partners to be transparent with us and entering those negotiations or consultations. Practically, I don't know how many councillors have actually completed the questionnaire that has been issued, and I have challenged that. I've answered it, and I would like to perhaps table this as food for thought. We're asking the public whether 500,000 is an optimum size, and a slider is provided to the public to make a choice. As a councillor, I wouldn't know whether 500,000 is right or wrong. We're asking them, is AI going to be advantageous to them? I can't say. I'm a councillor. I've worked with systems and ERP systems. I can't say, is it going to be great or not? They are asking the public, do you want access to your councillors? Well, that varies. That's very personal to individuals. I am concerned that what is being asked of the public, in terms of the validated data, the quality of what we'll get back, will be questionable. I go back, I think the first step is for us to be transparent, open, internal SWOT analysis, and basically approach our partners openly and seek their questions, and I think on the public side as well. So that might be a little bit different to, as I say, the current philosophy, which seems to be, we're going to have this area, that's how it's going to be, great. I feel we need to take a step back and look at it from a different perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any more speakers? No. Councillor Fitzgerald, would you like to exercise your right to speak as seconder?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We could go on forever about this, but look, let me first start off. I agree to second this because I've long been an advocate of local government reform, because I recognised over 10 years ago that this council could not go it alone with the rising costs of demand and escalation of everything else, and dwindling funding from central government. But let me first say, we are not going to agree on this in this council. So firstly, get that straight. The second thing is, now take out the wider context. I can tell you now that in Fenland, they'll have a completely different view to us. In Huntingdon, they don't want anything to do with us whatsoever. The Liberals would rather go south. So I suspect what will happen is this will be imposed upon us. Now, turning to the fourth option that's been promoted, I will agree with Steve, it is a bit last minute, and I'll tell you why it's last minute. Is because Matt and Dennis and others have been working on this for a year or more, and all these options between all the leaders within the county, because everybody's got to agree, or try to agree, have all been put forward, and they whittled it down to 3. In fact, it came down to 2. But the third one remained in for some reason, because I think, again, not to upset, dare I say, the Liberal Democrats in Huntingdonshire, it's left in. The fourth option now, and I will be suspicious of the motives, and I don't mean that in any disparaging way, but it's a bit opportunistic for both MPs to put in a fourth option now, whereas previously they've not been involved at all. I think they woke up about 6 weeks ago to the fact that local government reform was happening. So the fact of the matter is, I think, Christian, I'll agree with something you said, you've got to be driven by the data here. So if what's being proposed by the 2 MPs doesn't stack up, why are we considering it? So let's get the view of all the people, the experts, the finance team, the chief executive, and everybody else in all the other authorities that have been working on this, and we have to come up with the option that's best financially viable, because it doesn't matter what you call it. You know, you can call it the Greater Peterborough Authority in the north. We can argue about those things at another time. The point is, it will happen. And as far as the numbers, we keep hearing the numbers have changed. They haven't really. Government have said they might relax something if it stacks up, but the optimal number is still 500,000. Fenland, Peterborough and Huntingdon miraculously add up to 499,000. Christian's also right that the eco-bubble, the economic bubble in Cambridge, doesn't want East Cambs. They want their own little bubble because it's Cambridge and it's South Cambs. So that would leave them homeless. So to me, if it's financially beneficial, and I'm told it is, that East Cambs joins us, then fine.
Councillor Fitzgerald,
I'm done. I am
sum
done.
up. Thank you.
So, my friends, I shall be supporting the recommendation, but there is a lot of ground to cover here, and it might all end in tears. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Dennis Jones, would you like to sum up?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't think I've got an awful lot more to add, either to the sort of healthy cynicism shown by my seconder here, and also to what I had to said before. It is a moving feast. The cut-off date, I think it was Ryland who said, the cut-off date is actually the 28th of November, and so the decision will be made after that. The comfort I will give people is, whereas, you know, there are authorities like Essex that have elections in 2027, and I think we're as close to it as any of them. It's data-driven, but again, the government is now looking at a more flexed and flexible model, and I think, you know, as I've seen from people on both sides of the chamber, that option should be in that when whoever opens the golden envelope, then a Greater Peterborough option should be in it. No, good Lord, no. Good Lord, no. Good Lord, no. But so whatever is in there, it should obviously include all the options that should be considered. So, you know, I'll obviously be supporting the recommendation and watch this space. Thank you.
Thank you. Council is recommended to consider the proposals as set out in section 3 of the report and provide feedback to Cabinet to support ongoing dialogue with the LGR process. Is that agreed? Agreed. Thank you. Right, item 13D, Station Quarter Progress Update. Before we begin this item, I would like to remind members that there are exempt appendices within this report. Should any member wish to refer to the information within the exempt appendix, the Council will need to agree to enter closed session. Councillor Thurborn, would you like to move the recommendations?
Sorry, Madam Mayor. I'd like to put put forward the recommendations as in the papers and the council recommended to do the three options within the executive summary. Is that okay? The other bit's gone.
Thank you.
I put for a recommendation for the paper, as in the recommendation. Sorry, my laptop's going pear-shaped.
Thank you. Councillor Jamil, I understand that you wish to second the recommendation. Do you wish to speak now or reserve your right to speak later in the debate?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will second the recommendation and reserve my right to speak.
Thank you. Does any member wish to begin debate? Councillor Ali?
Yeah, I don't know if this is so much of a debate. I mean, I've been through the paper and there was a few questions just on the paper. I mean, it looks like the accountable body is the CPCA for the delivery of the station quarter, and yet it looks like the Peterborough Section 151 officer would need to write a letter to commit to any overspend, and it feels like the accountable body and the person responsible for funding any overspend are two different people. So I was a little bit confused about that, and I was just wondering how we'd look after this overspend. I know it's not necessarily a scrutiny, so it's not really questions, it's more a commentary on the paper, but I thought I'd make the observation.
Anybody else for a debate? No more speakers? Both same. Okay. Sorry, Councillor Fitzgerald.
You may wish to move into exempt session, Madam Mayor, because I might refer to stuff that is exempt.
Right. Read this down. Of the Local Government Act 1972, as amended, and that it would not be in the public interest for this information to be disclosed, as it contains information relating to the financial and business affairs of any particular person, including the authority holding that information. Members, are we agreed? Yeah.
Just give us a moment. We just need to clear the room.
Yeah. We'll just Thank you. The recommendations proposed are for Council to approve the giving of the required undertaking regarding the management and financial responsibility for cost overruns, so that confirmation can be given to the Department for Transport that the Council will comply with the condition of the funding. To authorise the Executive Director of Corporate Services and Section 151 Officer to review and amend the Council's Treasury Management and Capital Strategies in line with the CIPFA Prudential Code for Capital Finance to ensure the Council can comply with conditions of funding, and to note that a review of the spending profile over the course of the project will be undertaken, which will be reported to Cabinet in due course along with regular updates. Are these agreed, or shall we now move to the vote? Okay. I will now hand over to Rachel to manage the vote.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillors, we're now voting on the recommendations set out in Station Quarter Report. We are using the voting system, so it's green is for, red is against, and yellow is abstain. If there is a problem, please raise your hand, don't push your microphone. Are we live? Yes, we're live, if you can vote. Thank you. Three more councillors, please, that have not voted yet. Thank you, members. That is 23 for. There are 25 abstentions and 3 against. Therefore, this is carried.
Thank you. Thank you. That is the end of tonight's meeting. Have a safe journey home, and just a minute, and a really lovely summer break. Members, please remain seated for a few moments for an informal briefing. Thank you.